happy Monday. Welcome to the start of another week. And tonight, friends, we continue on with our How to Stall series.
Jesus, nighty snoozy snooze.
Jesus, it's all happening now. How is? Hope you had a great weekend. You're very welcome in. Been looking forward to this one. Damn it. Oh, Jesus. Right, hang on. Now that's better. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one. I've been watching some videos over the weekend, learning how to stall, you see, and starting to learn a bit now. So we had great fun last week. Kando joined us, and he showed us some of the skills in which we, can all learn to aspire to. But in the meantime, we'll take it easy. How was your weekend? Did you get up to much? I was flat out, pondering and doing different things. And man alive, the rain on Sunday took the Skoda out, driving well, lads. It's alive and kicking. And serious weather now on Sunday, And then today, I was quite busy today. And our event, anyway, the old Meetup we're doing in November. 100 tickets registered. 100. Now, it doesn't take a mathematician to realise that's 100 cups of tea by 3. That's 300 cups of tea. Probably ask people to use the same cup, save a fortune. But poor old Muse is going to be flat out with the Burko boiler now. He'll be flat out. Peggy Lyons should be making hang sandwiches for the night. But 100 people! What am I going to do? Hi, it's me, your man off the internet. You're very welcome. Wait, I need to go immediately. Right, it's going to be brilliant. But anyway, that's where we're at. But tonight, friends, yes, we continue on. After setting the foundation in part 1, well, it's time to move on from understanding what STOL is to actually learning how to fly it. So, in part 2, we're going to explore the aircraft setup, its configuration, and also some pilot techniques. And as we'll look at them all come together to deliver true short-field performance. From weight and balance to the use of flaps, takeoff rolls, spot landings, this is where it all starts to come alive. What we're going to cover tonight, we're going to be using Module 3 and Module 4 of our little STOL series. So Module 3, mainly we'll start off with the aircraft and the configuration. We're going to look at how preparing the aircraft for maximum short-field performance. Choosing the right aircraft for each mission, it's always a question, what do you fly? Managing the weight and balance for safe and efficient STOL operations, and understanding how the modifications such as tundra tyres, the STOL kits, props, all that sort of stuff, how it affects the aircraft itself. And of course the use of the flaps, slats and slots, and changing the lift and drag complexity and components of the aircraft. So, Module 4 then goes on to the core STOL skills themselves. This is where we get very much hands-on flying. And what we're going to do tonight, we're going to be putting all of these different configurations into practice, particularly when it comes to the use of flaps, slats if you have them, but also the weight and balance and the centre of gravity. What we're going to do science, yes, and we're going to do a bit of a bush flight as well. For the science part, we're going to be looking at controlling the aircraft in slow flight. Now, when I say slow flight, effectively, we're going to plan that we're barely moving forward. We're going to change the weather in the sim to give us a sufficient headwind that would mimic what our airspeed would be like. And our job is to maintain the aircraft, making sure we don't tip over or drop it or break it or do any of that stuff. But the reason why we're going to try this, well, it's going to give us a better understanding of the use of flaps and also how the weight and balance and the centre of gravity really affects the aircraft. Because if you can master the plane as it's just kind of hovering there with the wind hitting into it, it really does stand to you later on when you're flying forward. You start learning the limits, if you like, with the aircraft as well. So we will have a little bit of a flight. Exclamation point route, we'll give you the route. We're going to start off up here at, what's it called? Thomas Creek? No, yeah, Thomas Creek, right? And we're going to head down the road. We've 2 stops. We're going to go to, whatchamacallit, 2 Uniform 7, right? And then our final stop is a place called Smiley Creek, which is Uniform 8-7. So we've a little bit of a route here as we kind of have a look at the wind, carry on from last week that Kando was showing us with the updrafts and downdrafts, but also as we now practice very slow flight. And this is where it just gets fun from here, right? So that's our plan of attack for this evening. And there's a little bit of theory to get through, but not as much. We did a lot of that last week. So most of what we're doing tonight, it'll be hands-on flying. And we'll just have a bit of fun with it. Do you know what I mean? So there's other things that we're going to be doing, now not tonight, but later on in the course. We're going to be looking a lot closer at STOL, the championship that's available to flight sim enthusiasts to go off and compete in the National STOL Championships, which is a lot of fun. And we have, it's Nor Callie is here with us. And, in a couple of weeks' time, he'll be on giving us the owl, telling us what it's all about and how do we make agents of ourselves. Right, but in a good way. Do you know what I mean? So it's all happening. So before we get started, we'll begin at the beginning. And we say hello to some people who've rambled in, and I'll play music to make it look like, I've prepared all of this in advance. Brilliant. Who's here? Look, Tarnish Mossman, happy Monday. Fierce Wolf, looking fierce. And Wolfie, welcome aboard, buddy. Airlock Doc is in the house. Vacuum is here. CP65, good evening. Malky Mac is here. Upside down person, Mrs. Cheapy HI is signing in. Welcome aboard. P Swan, good evening to you. Creo, hello to all in County Mayo. Hope you're well, buddy. North Coast Mike is here. Spitfire RAF 100 has entered the chat. Welcome in, buddy. Who else come in now? 98 Vulcan, greetings. Eamon 1973, you're very welcome aboard. QC Frank, transferring me whole sim on your over to a 5080 PC. No way, man. That's fantastic news. 5080 for the win. Shuffle Shoes shuffles in. AJH John, hope you're well. Medic 24 Life subscribing tier 1 for 6 months. Thank you very, very much indeed, my guy. Hope you're well. Insane support, lads. Thank you very much. Liptorius, good day. Toto2495 is in the house. Good to see you, Toto. Hope you're well, buddy. Chris Van Halen, a very good evening to you. Retriever Neil is here. Good to see you, Neil. DeBlaze, a very warm welcome. Hope you're keeping well. The Impossible Face, he says, Merry Monday. I inadvertently had it off, so I treated myself to the Innie Bills, Cape Town, and I chilled out. I hope you're keeping grand. You too. It's an awesome airport. B. Carlo, welcome in, buddy. Naughty Gnome, who are Naughty. Did you figure out why your computer, did you find the gremlins? Poor old devil. Nighthawk is here. A very good afternoon. Did I miss a flight to Jamaica? No, we're doing it on Friday. We're going out to inspect their bobsled team. Do you remember that movie? Y'all need to bring a lucky egg with you now on Friday night, right? Flights and Max, a very good evening. DCS Dux is here. APU Inspector, good evening. Hope you're well. It's Nor Callie's in the house. Good to see you, man. Viper Strike is here. Happy Man United 53 months day. Hope he's, Frozen Gamer, good to see you. Who else come in the door now? Viper, thank you for your 25. Larry Kundka is here. Hello, Larry. Where is this now? Pilot 1290, hello. Super Ty is lurking. We love the lurkers. Viper, thank you very much indeed for 53 months. Legend May, thank you very much indeed. Hermit Something says, a very good afternoon to Boston. Hope you're well, buddy. Max Stallion is here. Gibbo Ireland has entered the chat. How are you, Gibbo? There's no history now tonight, right? Right. No, I won't. There's no history tonight, right? Medic, you're very welcome in. Photos by Kev is here. Good to see you. 15 in a row. Jesus. Hope you're well. AZ Blue Line, welcome in. Kozaki Flyer says, I got 2024 sorta working. Sorta working. What does that mean? Jesus. Right. Are you in or are you not? Grimmy, good to see you. Strap 21, hola, hope you're well. Mech Manser's in the house. In a box, man. Good to see you, man. How's she cutting? You're looking well. Jesus, we've music all over the shop tonight. Now, Ted, come on. We'll go with it. Hammer Nails, a very good day to you. Blinky's in the house. Daddy Plump is here. PQ, good to see you. Let me see now. Nulshern, I know how to stall. All right. Where's this now? The babe, yeah. What? Who? Hey, Crotty, good to see you. Patchy's in the house. I don't believe you, Murph. I'm telling you, 100 people, lads. Right. I know exactly what to do now. Thanks be to... It just came to me. I now know how to keep 100 people entertained, gripped, and focused on my ever single word. I will tell the Platoos joke That will get mileage, my friends. Mileage. I got from Dublin to Kinnegad without giving away the punchline. The Platouche, yes, brilliant. Creo, good to see you. And use the same tea bag. Wait, yes. Oh, we could do that, yes. Thanks for sorting out Join FS, Firefly Air, Tarnish. So the server said to itself, I'm going to shut down now. And it stayed off for like 2 days. I had to get on to technical support. So they had to support me technically to get it all back up and running. But we're back up and running, bud. So we should be good. Muse will be making the hand sandwiches like a mammy. He will. He's going to be making hand sandwiches. It's going to be brilliant. And a bottle of Club Orange. You know, Adam Controls is going to be... Well, if Muse is making the hang sandwiches and the tea, Adam Controls is the chip van and Gibbo with the burgers. It's going to be brilliant, you know. Who else is here? Ozymandias, good to see you. Hope all is well. Muse Van is here, burst in the door, eating a hand sandwich. Here he is, his mad jokes. Good to see you, buddy. Might not make it to the end. We had to take my partner to hospital to be fitted with our back brace. Oh, Jesus. 98 Vulcan, no worries at all. And listen, man, thoughts with you, bud. Hope all goes well. How many are going to the evening shenanigans? There won't be 100. If I was to be conservative, I'd say, well, I'll be there. You'll be there. Gibbo, Muse, Adam, Mrs. Jutone, Mrs. Toto, and a handful of others. Maybe 30, I don't know, to be honest. Bell Bro, how are you, Mar from Fireflies? Just back from some days of hiking in the forests in the region of Godfrey of, is it Bouillon? Sounds very nice. Where's this now? Happy Monday, y'all. Hope you're having a great day. As old veteran 965 has entered the chat. Good to see you, Scott. Hope you're well. What scenery is that, Murphy? This one here. That's just using Camp Out. Ooh, yes, from Parallel 42, we're using Camp Out. Jeppison 2001, the man, the myth, the legend, has entered the chat with news of the realm. He says, happy Monday, you fine bunch of fireflies. Hope you're all doing well. Fly it like you stall it. Brilliant. Hope you're well, Jeppison. Good to see you, buddy. We're doing mad things. Jepp, are you around in November? Sneak out for a couple of... Tell no one. Just sneak out, you know. All our tickets are sold, but sure, just come anyway, you know. Give us said he'd buy you a pint, sure. Muse will make you a hang sandwich. If you'll be... Jesus. Zybok, good to see you. Calling from Denmark. Hope all is well. Hello from Tipperary. Rambog Mord is here. Good to see you, Rambog. Hope you're well. Do you know what? We were having a discussion the other day after the Vatsan flight and there's a word here I'm trying to use, but the very pleasant arrival we received from ATC in Canada. And we went on, or someone went on looking at some real world stuff, and they came across something very interesting whereby, you'd a pilot, an aircraft with ATC, and, fisticuffs almost broke out. Very interesting what goes on in the real world. So we were chatting about that. But anyway, where are we at now? Two dogs. Greetings from Wisconsin. Greetings from Tipperary. Hope you're well. Let me say, F and Chris, good to see you. Heisenberg, would it be cheating to use the catapult feature in the Hellcat? No, it's only cheating if you get caught, Heisenberg. Be grand, totally fine. Flipper Alloy, a very good day to you. Idle Cutoff is here. Hi, Murph. Cambridge calling. Hello from Tipperary. You're looking well. Who else come in the door here now? Stu Snape, a very good evening to you, Stu. Naughty Gnome found the gremlins. The motherboard is going back again. Oh, Jesus, really? On next Friday? Jesus. Right. The Jamaican bobsled team at the Calgary Winter Olympics in 1988 also had Freddie the Eagle ski jumper. There you go. Byron, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Welcome from an autumnal Bucharest. Well, hello from a positive... Well, it's not too bad out. It's night time here, so I can't see it. But it's to get cold this week, lads. I have a weather screen. Yeah. It's going to get down as low as 4 degrees Celsius over the coming days. That's like, oh... Well, it won't be too bad in here, I suppose. Norse Viking Gaming, good to see you. CB says, you lost me there. Sure, listen, I've often lost myself. Creo says, I had all sorts of problems over the weekend with the sim hanging on start. It turned out to be the NVIDIA and Reshade update. Ooh, no way. Bring the wig, Murph, but expect internet will see all. Right? Murph, I wasn't listening. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The sim is fine. My controls are still kind of shagged, says Kozaki. No way. It'd be better to just bring a food truck. No. I'd somehow manage to burn a hang sandwich. Adam would most certainly be behind the bar. One for you, one for me. Well, that's very true, to be fair, yes. Adam will not be working the bar. Jesus, right. QC Frank says the 5080 is giving you 175 frames. Ooh, nice. Hermit says, I'd register for your gathering next month to support the cause, but my passport team went out in 98 and I haven't gotten around to getting a new one. That's quite okay. We'll be there in spirit. We will be live streaming from the event as well, lads. So there's that. You know, you'll have to put up with my mug for an extended period of time at this event. Try the mic. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. I'll buy you 10 pints, Jeppesen. I've Murph's card details. 10 pints of water now, you know. It's nice water, though. You know, it's fresh. Oh, yeah. 700 years, you know, perfecting itself in volcanic rock. Best before October 2025. All those sandwiches, hope they don't run out of ham. That'll be a lot of sandwiches, yeah. You can't go wrong with a ham sandwich and a cup of tea. You know, there's a lot to be said for it, lads. I fired up the sim yesterday and for some reason my FPS had doubled over the previous session at the same place at the same aircraft. 98 Vulcan, we just don't know. Hang sandwich and a pint, how can I refuse? Right? And if you're lucky, we'll even give you some Rennie for the flight home for the indigestion. Yeah, right. Marv, I can't get a ticket on Eventbrite. Eamon, did you not book yet? Jesus, that means it's booked out again. Eamon, drop me a DM and tell me how many and I'll sort of something. And then when you arrive, just say you were the first one who booked, right? It'll be grand. Mr. 90, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Soaring AJ. AJH, man. The Impossible Face says, Irish tap water almost as good as the Scottish stuff. Listen, right? We invented water, the Irish, you know, we did it on a Tuesday afternoon. And the only sad thing was, of course, we created rain as well while we were at it, you know. But that's what happened. Thanks to everyone who sent me a happy birthday wishes on Discord, says Zybok. Zybok, happy birthday, man. Hope you had a great day. Right, before we get going, should I be able to see lots of planes on the ground? I see no one here. Uh-oh. Yeah, there should be planes on the ground, yes. JP, a very good evening. CGP Gaming, welcome in, buddy. Hope you're well. Black Sheep Jean, good day. Stalking and stalling. Ah, brilliant. Dave Cleary, a legend, Dave. Welcome back, Dave. Visualize is in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Jim Messenger is here. B&O Railroad and Gaming and Fishing Channel has rambled in. It is great to see you. Welcome aboard, buddy. The Slick One is in the house. Your favourite beer chugger. Yes. Angels15, good to see you. Al's Gaming Realm. I just joined your channel. What are we doing today? We're going to be we're doing a course on short takeoff and landing. Now, it's not like let's go to school kind of course. Sharing as much information as we can. Because did you know there is a virtual competition called STOL? It's part of like National STOL. It's a competition over in the States and Canada as well, I think, isn't it? But they do. You want to just Google it, man. Put it on YouTube. It's incredible. And there is a virtual version of it as well, you know. Bob the Burger, good to see you. Northland Air, very good evening to you, my guy. Hope you're well. Mrs. TPHI is upside down over on YouTube. Philip Turner, good to see you, Philip. Hope you're well. I'll buy you 20 pints if I can be a mod. Thank you, Bob, but we're okay for mods. Thanks. But we're laughing. But if that should open up in the near future, right, do you know. Steve Stavros, evening to you, my guy. Hope you're well. It's bad enough that, you know, the mods that we have, how in the name of Jesus they've put up with me for so long. They secretly plot ways in which they can bring me grievous bodily harm. But I'm okay with it. You know, I'm used to them. And they're used to me. More importantly, they're right. They have code words every now and again. You know, things like shut up, Murph, and your face. Right, they keep me on the straight and narrow, and it works out terribly well. But a great bunch of lads, has to be said, 100%. Where is this now? All players should be enough. There's a setting for traffic. Yeah, naughty. You should be able to see us on the multiplayer. Exclamation point, how to multiplayer, and that'll get you in, I would think. If you're stuck, right? If you're stuck. But anyway, shall we get started? We'll do one of these, and then we'll do one of those. And we'll come on over here, look. So yeah, I fired up Camp Out. hang on. Get in there, will you? Only gave a little squeak. Right. I fired up Camp Out, the utility, because, well, it's loads of fun, this. And put that up there now so we can see what's happening. Now, let me see. Zoom this one in. The soundage. So we're back here in the Norden, which is a beautiful, beautiful machine. And, well, this is what we're going to be using for today for our flight. All right? Now, if I press buttons over here, bear with now, my friends, bear with, and we'll see how she's cutting. She's cutting well. Right, so we'll get into it, right? Let me see now. I can't see anyone at 2 Uniform 8. Interesting. Carnage, are you on 2020? I don't have John FS on yet.
Jesus.
We'll turn it on now, though. Johnny Advar, good to see you, Johnny. Hope you're well. You've totally missed. It was... Wait, now, I totally missed it as I was out of action. Well, you're very welcome back. It's good to see you, buddy. Hope all is well. KSXX, you're very welcome in. Thank you for the follow. He wouldn't be able to afford to pay another mod as he pays us so much, says Muse. Yes, that's the ticket. Fly Fox Studio is here. My kind of jam. You're very welcome in, buddy. Right, so let's get into this because we have some notes to talk about first before we go. So we're going to start with Module 3, right? And this is basically the aircraft configurations. Now, don't worry, we'll get into the flying now shortly. As I said, the theory side of this won't be as mad as it was last week, all right? So you want to match the aircraft to the mission and also to your route or the strip, right? So think of this not only for your bush flying, but also think of this later on down the track for the competitions. Think the length, the surface, the slope, the elevation, density, altitude, which we chatted about that last week, any obstacles, payload, and the weather. These are all the things you need to consider, whereby you're not just jumping now into... you're not just jumping into the sim, firing it up, any old aircraft, and see what happens, right? Hey, Crotty, thank you very much indeed. 8 months, tier 2. Jesus. Thank you very, very much indeed. Cheers, man. Man is a legend. So if you look at where we are now, down here at Thomas Creek, well, this is where we start considering, well, what aircraft can we use? And of course, someone took the A400. I mean, why wouldn't you take an A400 if it is indeed an A400? Model matching does a great job, you know. But anyway, as you can see from here, we were here last week with Kando, and he was explaining, you know, it's one thing checking the weather, the temperature, the length of the runway, your aircraft weight and balance, and all that kind of stuff. But you also got to be very careful with the weather. You want to be careful with the winds, because when we consider the natural shapes of the mountains here, well, depending on the direction of the wind, you'll have either, you know, a draft hitting up with the wind flow. That's an updraft on this side of the mountain. Then when it goes over the top and drops off the other side, that becomes a downdraft. And they'll have huge impact on your aircraft. They'll either be pushing it up into the sky or pressing it down into the ground. These are things you need to consider. Also, obstacles. I mean, as we look around, well, what are our major obstacles here? Well, we've mountains and we've trees. They're obstacles. So we need to kind of plan around those, right? So when we want to consider aircraft, you then have to say, right, do you want light aircraft? Do you want like modern Bush tail draggers? Or do you want the utility piston aircraft? Or in fact, do you want the STOL turboprop? Or even do you want the competition type aircraft, experimental? These are all the things you want to consider, and we'll just briefly touch on some of the trade-offs. So a light STOL aircraft, something like the Kit Fox, the Zenith Savage Cub, you know, the Norden. Well, their strengths, they have very low stall speed. Very low. They're also very short roll, and they have very forgiving energy states. As we know, we can fly these things at about 30 knots. We can almost stop them on a dime. The trade-off, though, we're going to be limited with our payload. We're limited with range, and they are more sensitive to winds and gusts. They're more sensitive to it. So, ideal for using on a solo run, short grass, sandbars, low moderate density altitude with low obstacles. That's ideal for that aircraft category. Moving on to the modern bush tail draggers like the X-Cub or the Carbon Cub, even the Husky, slightly bigger. They have big lift, big prop wash, and they can be controlled at very low speeds. Excellent short field capabilities. Again, payload moderate as a trade-off. Tail wheel handling is a different kettle of fish if you're not used to them, and ideally used for kind of medium trips, mixed terrain. They're kind of a general all-rounder. The utility pistons, such as the Beaver or the Cessnas, right? Your 180s, 185s, all that kind of stuff. Their strengths, definitely for the payload and robustness. They are proven for an off airport. They're very, very good. They're rugged aircraft. The problem is, though, they're heavier, meaning that the distances grow fast with the weight and density altitude, and also the prop and braking clearance matter an awful lot more. Think about it. If you're on a nose dragger like a Cessna, the prop is so very close to the ground. Unlike a tail dragger, you have all that clearance. These are things to consider. Then we look at some of the STOL turboprops like the PC6, for example, the Porter, or even the Kodiak. Big thrust, massive beta reverse if it has it modelled, much steeper approaches. However, the weight of them, the inertia, that energy, it's very difficult to kind of eliminate and control all of that energy coming in. PC6 Porter is probably the exception to the rule because it has that reverse beta capability. But these are the things you'd want to kind of consider. They also have that kind of hot high performance bite, because if it does get hot and high, they're a heavier aircraft, and suddenly your density altitude makes a huge impact, do you know? If you're choosing between a tail wheel or a nose wheel aircraft, well, tail wheel gives prop clearance. We already know about that, and as we were looking into it, it gives us a different angle of attack, which is very good when it comes to kind of soft and rough surfaces. Tricycle gear is much easier, right? Especially if it's on something that's paved. But it can dig in, as it not necessarily nose over, but you can prop strike it, right? And it can be rough if your technique is off, right? So we can go then fixed pitch versus constant speed prop. Fixed pitch, climb prop, great for static thrust, shorter takeoff. Not so great in the cruise, but definitely good on takeoff. A constant speed prop, we can dial in the fine pitch ourselves for takeoff. We can course it for cruise. It's way more flexible. But again, it's something else to be worried or working on with the aircraft, which is something maybe you don't want to be doing. Do you know what I mean? Let me see. Fat Bob Rock, thank you very much. Cheers, Rock. Prime subscription, dude. Thank you very, very much indeed. So it all goes back to your aircraft choices. And for me, if you're learning how to do all of this, stick with the one aircraft so you're learning it and you become very comfortable with it. But when it comes to the competition stuff, you might want to look at different categories to see how you might prefer certain aircraft. All right? So next up then is the weight and balance. We touched on this last week, but it's basically stall speed versus the weight of the aircraft. The heavier you are, the quicker it'll stall. Just be aware of that. The more weight you have in there, and that includes your fuel, right? But also then you have the center of gravity. If you move it forward, well, you're going to need more force on tail down, right? So your tail needs more force, and it'll have a higher stall speed if you put the weight forward. Weight to the back, you're actually going to have a lower stall speed, shorter rotate flare, but it'll be twitchy and way less stable. So an advantage would be move the center of gravity slightly back. Think about it. If you weight in the back of the aircraft, well, yeah, it will allow you to get up quick, right? Once you have sufficient lift. And then coming in, it'll get you in pretty quick. But we just need to be careful of it. Where's this now? Operational rules of thumb. Light is might. Remove non-essential stuff, minimum safe fuel, and reserves. So this comes into even to our flight sims. Remove as much weight as you can out of that aircraft. Now, I think with the likes of STOL, there's minimum weights, there's certain requirements that we have to stick to. But as you're learning this stuff, don't load in your aircraft on a bus strip full of fuel. There's no point. Learn how to fly the thing first. So keep it good and light. All right. Your load placement, keep heavy items near the center of gravity. Don't shove it all to the aft. All right. And then know the limits of the CG envelope. The sim will show you what the center of gravity envelope of the aircraft is. There's loads of tools online, but you'll feel it, right? So we can use our weight and balance panel to be able to set the payload and move the center of gravity in the sim, which is fierce handy. And then maybe if you wanted, save a couple of presets to that aircraft. You can call it light stall, mid load, or heavy bush flight. You can save presets for your setup and then load them in. All right. Other gear then, when we talk about the aircraft, if you want to fly it in STOL, depending on the aircraft, tundra tyres, big massive 30-odd inch tyres, great for getting you over rough terrain, keeps the thing steady, and you can fairly bounce the aircraft if needs be, right? Other things, if we look, they're your bush wheels. Other things we'd look at then, if you have heavy duty landing gear, non-retractable landing gear. The retractable, I don't know, my reading into it was retractable landing gear are not as, they're not as strong as a fixed landing gear, which kind of makes sense, right? Because there's no moving parts on they're fixed. There's no hinges, right? So that's something to consider as well. Updated brakes. We can't do much when it comes to our brakes in the sim. However, this is where your weight and balance and your centre of gravity, that'll really help with the brakes of the aircraft. Also, there are aircraft on Flight Sim 2020 that they're not officially patched for 2024. You will notice the difference, something fierce.
Jesus.
How you'll know it is, if you sit on a runway full throttle with the brakes on in 2020, the aircraft shouldn't budge. However, the exact same aircraft with full throttle on the runway with the brakes on, it starts moving forward. The ground handling is slightly different in Flight Sim 2024. They've tweaked it, they've made it different. So test your aircraft first so you know what the crack is, right? Excellent. Other stuff we can look at, the lift and control enhancers, such as your vortex generators, your leading edge, slats, slots, your flaps, all that sort of stuff. Have a look into that as well. And that's kind of it. It's looking at the aircraft. What does it come fitted with? What extras can you put on there? Or better yet, what can you take off the aircraft? Got friends do options with their aircraft. You can pop the doors off, you can change tyres, you can do all these things. So have a look at the weight of it. Do you know, Hayden is here. Good to see you, Hayden. You're welcome in. So that's kind of it for just the applying the tool to the job sort of thing, if that makes sense. All right. There's buttons being pressed. Sumner, thank you very much indeed for 6 months in advance. There is a man who has nothing but optimism. Thank you very much indeed. You're a legend. Hope you're well, buddy. Hope you're well. One Fly Air, good to see you. Happy Monday, lads. So with that said, choosing your aircraft, yes, you can go for your favourite. It looks pretty. It looks nice. It's an animal. It has all this power. But be aware, it's not as simple as just saying, right, I've loaded in the airplane and let's go flying. Think more into it. Do you know what I mean? Think like, okay, can I reduce the weight of this thing? Can I change how it's going to handle? And I'm going to show you now in a second how we can start doing that science, right? Now, what else do we have here? Flap settings and their effective performance. We're going to show you that here now in a moment. Exactly the impact your flap can do, right? And also the energy, as in your throttle, right? And that'll kind of do us for Module 3, because a lot of the stuff we'll touch on later on. The main things to do, select the right airplane and the right configuration, your weight and balance, and also the centre of gravity. Check that the aircraft has STOL mods, such as tundra tyres, you can remove weight, you can remove the doors, all that kind of stuff. And then the flaps. Make sure that you have some sort of ability there when it comes to the flaps. All right? The core skills then, that's what we're going to be doing during our flight. I'll talk about it when we're airborne, just to give you a chat. Basically, it's putting all of the theory in as we fly, and we're watching out for the aerodynamic impact on the aircraft. But it's just a nice, enjoyable flight. But the challenge is, fly the aircraft as slow as possible, not as fast. And any aircraft, my advice as well, I've like yourselves, I've flown pretty much everything in the sim, and that stuff that was released isn't released yet. I've flown so many aircraft. The quickest way for me to learn any aircraft, you fly it at its slowest possible speed. That's how you know how it handles. You'll learn what the limits are fairly quick. Then you can kind of put it back into its comfort zone. And indeed, if you push it beyond the envelope for speed, they all kind of do the same thing with physics. They'll do something mad. Realistically, you bend the frame of the aircraft, you die. But in a sim, they don't really like massively over speed. They just don't handle it. Low speed is where this thing gets interesting. All right. So we'll be putting that all into play here now in a moment. So with the theory now kicked to touch, we're going to have a look at something. So we're here in the Norden, right? And you're all having the crack and having fun and getting around the place. And I'm using live weather and live time at the moment. Now, at this little airstrip, we don't have options. I don't see wind socks. I don't have much options of knowing what the weather is doing. Now, With the sim, you can do certain things. What direction is the grass blowing? What way is the wind blowing? Right? Don't have very little. It's very calm. But these are the same things you could use in the real life that you can use in the sim, right? With camp out, well, I can kind of see, well, the wind is, there's some poor Egypt after impaling himself. With camp out, and it's very handy for your STOL flying and your bush flying, using something like camp out, because you can pop in a weather sock or even a fire pit. And the smoke will go in the direction of the wind. It's impacted by the wind. Pretty cool, right? So we can use the likes of camp out to our advantage here. And set up a pretty cool looking scene as well, because we were making all sorts of burgers and a bit of a stir fry with eggs, and we've coffee on the go, and sure, look, there's only pizza and, you know, bacon, I suppose, right? But you can set up a pretty cool scene, right? But we can do more than that. So if I were to go into camp out now, it's a great tool, by the way. I think everyone should have camp out. We'll clear the scene. And now we're going to look at the aircraft proper. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to power up, I'm going to taxi to the runway, and then I'm going to show you now when it comes to using different weather, right? So let's put some power into this machine here, Red Rider, and we'll find out what's actually going to happen. So we'll just get all our lights on. That's all turned on. That's grand. And well, let's see what happens. We'll start it up, and hopefully it'll start. Turn on the fuel first, Murphy. That'll hurt. Yeah. Right, we're live. So off the brakes, and let's just taxi on out. And if you remember from last week, as we were saying, the handling of this aircraft, I mean, we can go ridiculously slow here. Ridiculously slow. Now, what I would ask everyone to do, we'll all do the same thing. I'll show you what I'm going to do, and I'll get you guys to copy it, because we're all going to do the same thing here, right? So don't mind me flying ahead of you. Now, this is great fun to do in the sim. Particularly if you're trying to learn an airplane, right? So I'm pretty much runway heading, and I'm on a course or a heading of 036 degrees. Brilliant. We're going to go into the weather settings. We're going to take it off live weather, and then we're going to have some fun here. So I'm going to go, don't worry about the clouds or time of day or any of that jazz. Just go into the wind. And I'm going to change the direction of the wind to 03, whatever my heading is, right? 036. And I'm going to start increasing the strength, and I'm going to bring it up to something like 60 knots. We can do stuff like that. Make sure the gusts are turned off, right? So the wind is now blowing straight against me at 60 knots, and I want to show you now what will start happening, right? Hang on now. I'll turn this back on in a second, but it's going to look friggin' nuts if I do this, and we've A400s there. So I want you to have a look. At the moment, I'm just sitting now, my feet are on the brakes, we're not doing anything, but there's 60 knots of wind hitting the front of my airplane. All right. Without touching anything, I'm going to start deploying flaps. Now, I didn't touch anything. I just have my feet on the brake. Can you see the difference of having the flaps deployed? Do you see that? I'm touching nothing else, one notch of flaps, and look at the impact it'll do on the aircraft. See that? The wings are generating lift, and the tail is able to lift. That's with one notch of flaps with this wind. Now, we're stationary. We haven't gone anywhere yet. And I'm keeping my toes on the brakes. What if I applied a second notch of flaps? The angle of attack is a little bit more. Again, I haven't touched controls. That's the airplane itself, with the wind going over and under the wing, as it should. And that's even without the prop wash on the tail as well. In actual fact, lads, if I kill the engine and reduce the flaps, now I've no engine. That means I'm not creating any airflow over the aircraft onto the tail. One notch of flaps. I'm not touching anything else. See the way it's shaking, rattling, and rolling. Second notch of flaps. There's that tail up. I have the engine turned off. Engine turned off with 2 notches of flaps. Isn't that mad? It's mad. Now I'll turn back on my engine only because, well, we'll want it when we go moving. So with the engine running, if we were to apply a third and final notch of flaps, that aeroplane is pretty much flying, but because I've left the brakes on, there's enough friction to stop us from going up. If I have any sort of input on the elevator, we're going to start moving. All right? Now, because we're in the northern, but we also have slats on the front, so if I were to start dropping these guys down, again, I'm not touching the elevator. Look at that angle of attack moving. We're now floating. See that? The aircraft is literally floating, and the wind is hitting us. And I haven't touched the elevator yet. The wind, now we're not perfectly straight. Look at that. Like we're floating. It's like we've lost gravity. We have reduced weight. And that's, remove those, put them back in. Right? Just let it all stabilize and calm down. If we're unsure, drop, kill the flaps. Let the airplane calm it down. Our heading is probably slightly off. We're on a heading of 052 degrees. So let's correct that so the wind is meeting us head on. Bit of power. There we go. That was probably a little bit too much. Let's turn us rear slightly. Alright, that's better. So we're sitting nice and stationary and no flaps. Alright? And we'll do the same thing again. Let's just use the slots on the front of the airplane and let's see what happens. Look. So they're going to be extending now, nice and easy. And we're just looking at the airframe. Now notice that it's nowhere near as strong as the flap. At least from this angle, right? Considering the wind is coming against us. With the wind coming against us, right? Basically what we're simulating here is your airspeed, all right? So we can bring that back in. And we'll try a notch of flaps again. And without touching the elevator, that tail wants to go up. All right, we'll do a second one. And we'll do a third one. At this stage now, I can apply the slightest bit of thrust, a tiny amount, we'll get airborne straight away, all right? If I let go of the brakes, the wind is blowing us backwards, but if I start pulling up, elevator, see the way the wing is trying to drop? We're showing that we're stalling the wing. Look, if I just pull straight back up, right? Get us into the wind. See the way the wing is going so far over to one side? See that? Well, that's letting us know that that wing is stalling. When you hit a stall, it's not a case that both wings have equally stalled. Usually one wing will stall and it drops. Hence you get the dipped wing, right? So what's me heading here now again? 3-3, we're not far off it. Point us right into the wind. Now for this one, we have our flaps set. Right? Still hold the brakes. I'm going to apply maximum throttle and just have a look what happens. Straight up. Straight up. Now if I start reducing this power, we'll actually enter hover mode. We'll actually enter a hover mode. So if we're looking around the aircraft now, right? Get me view set up. Our forward speed is 0. We are literally hovering. And this is where you'll learn the limits of your airplane. So for example, we've a bit of flaps engaged there, a tiny little bit of throttle, right? But if we now start increasing our power, we should start building up a little bit of forward momentum. There she goes. So now we're moving forward. Now the airplane thinks we're moving at 60 knots, which we are through the air. We're only doing about 6 knots over the ground. Dylan, good to see you, buddy. So as we're hovering, basically a hover, you're hovering above it. You ever see like helicopters, right? Now there's other things we can do to this as well. For instance, if we were to kill the power, we should be able to maintain a very kind of gentle input. Hear the stall? That's with no thrust. So the aircraft is losing altitude, and if you look closely, we're actually moving backwards here. Our plane is moving backwards. Now, if we adjust the angle of our attack, put the nose down, that'll increase our rate of descent because the aircraft is slowing its velocity moving backwards. It's going to try and start moving forward again. And then we start looking at a flare. So we start lifting the nose back, and there's your flare, right? So what I'll get you to do, lads, I want you to practice this as I get myself back onto the runway. I want you to practice this, because if you can spend even 10 or 15 minutes flying the aircraft in this absolutely wild configuration, it gives you such an insight not only to what your control surfaces and your power management has over the aircraft when we talk about, you know, the angle of attack and all that jazz. You can also really affect and get a proper understanding of what the flaps are doing with the plane. Like, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. He's a Jedi, right? It's cool, isn't it? Any questions so far? So let's see what we can do. More importantly, let's see what you guys can do, right? We'll get our multiplayer turned back on. And remember, all you're doing, you're just adding wind. It's just wind. Gusts and all that jazz, don't worry about that. And this is the first bit of the jigsaw. It's just wind blowing directly at us, right? Lear asked a great question. What happens with the rudder? Well, the rudder still acts as a rudder. At low speed, if we wanted to steer our aircraft, and this is, you guys are doing excellent so far. Look at that. It's like a scene out of the friggin' Exorcist. They're just floating, right? Your rudder, because you're at low speed, and this applies in real world aviation as well, particularly that of general aviation. When you're on your final approach, just before your aiming point, instructors usually will tell you, do not use your aileron input anymore, especially for aiming. If you're fighting, you know, wind, grand, but you steer with your rudder pedals at that stage. The rudder takes over, right? So you can do the very same thing here. So if we were to deploy some flaps, right, add in a bit of power, and just pull up ever so gently. Now, if I were to try and turn the aircraft with its aileron, have a look and just feel how that impacts, because the nose will drop or rise, you'll lose altitude. All right, but what if I just use the rudder? Okay, we'll try rudder inputs. Do you see the difference? Do you see how much impact your rudder now has with positioning where your airplane is? What's the wind setup? Nighthawk, wind direction directly against you, as in whatever your heading is, and bring it up to about 60 knots. All right. Flight Sim Life says, best way to practice aerodynamics, get a nice RC plane. Yeah, great. Yeah, well, you can do it in Microsoft Flight Sim if you have it for free. I mean, we've effectively created our very own wind tunnel here. I mean, that's what we're doing, right? So if you look at what the rudder will do, here's ailerons trying to turn. See how unstable that is? See how much the aircraft drops, right? Well, if I want to just use rudder inputs, I can achieve that angle without the wings going bananas. You know what I mean? And that's what your rudder can do. You steer with the rudder. Now, you also have to, you know the way we have a coordinated turn? Well, because we're in a very strong wind like this, but we don't have that advantage. But use your rudder and then your aileron to coordinate with your rudder, which is the opposite of what you do. Usually you get your rudder, it's called stepping on the ball in your turn and slip coordinator. You would move your rudder to be in line with the with your ailerons. For this lesson, I want you to do the opposite. I want you to use your rudder input and then turn or move your aileron to compensate the drop. And even what we're doing now, using the rudder and compensating straight and level flight with your aileron, what you are now effectively doing is called a slip. You often hear people say put a front slip, side slip. You're slipping through the air, right? Crabbing is different. A slip is what we're doing here now. And that's another skill that you will be using not only in STOL or bush flying, it's a skill you can use to anything. Now, if we were to turn into the wind, or turn into a crosswind, before we do it, lads, what do you think might happen if we did that? Right? Your slip is showing. What do you think might happen if we were to turn our aircraft to the side that the wind is now hitting us side on? What's going to happen? First and foremost, the biggest thing you're going to see, the wind is going... Look at the surface now that the wind is going to be pushing against. That's almost like its own sail. Here, it's aerodynamically sound. because the wings are swept. The air is going to hit the front of the aircraft, it'll be pushed under the wing, and it'll be pushed over the wing, creating the vacuum, and, you know, she lifts. If we throw it into the side, we've lost that beautiful laminar flow over the wing, right? And it's another great way of testing the ability of an airplane and what it's rated to in a crosswind. Depending on the shape of the aircraft from its side profile, that'll have, and the power of course, but that'll have an impact on the cross landing or the crosswind capability. And it's often put in, for an aircraft to this side, I'd say 12 to 15 knots is probably the max, right? A Cessna's like 18 knots, I think, right? So you want to be careful of that, because if you slip the aircraft in, you got to be careful that you don't stall, because you're now slipping. The wing has lost sufficient airflow, the wing will stall. So let's have a look and see what happens. So if we wanted to slip the aircraft too much, right? So rudder, look what happens. I'm going to try and keep it level, but look what's going to happen. Our altitude is dropping, look. And that wing, the right wing, I'm almost full left aileron to keep that in play now. Now the right wing, see, the left wing has dropped there completely.
Oh, Jesus.
So the wing is stalled, right? So there are things you need to watch for, and it's learning the limits. Just learn the limits of what your plane can and can't do. So same crack again, no power, keep your feet in the brakes, add in your flaps, right? Probably go an extra notch here. Bit of power, pull back on the stick, straight up, power off, and try and hold it, right? Just try and hold it. And keep the angle of attack down. What I want you to try and do, keep the aircraft in a hover. Just like a helicopter. I don't want you moving forwards. I don't want you moving backwards. I don't want the wings dropping. Can you maintain dead straight, you know, a hover in an airplane? Can you achieve that? With practice, you can. We're pretty much in a hover there now. You might have to adjust your power settings. So get used to where the energy is. The Draco, this would be a lot more difficult because there's so much power in that thing, right? So much power. But we're doing a pretty decent job here now. We're just floating, man. We're just floating. It's pretty cool what you can do, isn't it? Now, we've no power. Drop or bring back in one notch of flaps. Look what happens. See the drop? Hold the nose up. We've reduced one notch of flaps. Now we're doing our very best to keep this aircraft level. Let's bring all the flaps in. See the drop? The nose wants to go down. Keep the nose up as best we can. We're in the airflow, so we're okay. There's the stall hit now. The wings aren't generating lift. We're right on the limit. 40 knots. We're doing about 5 over the ground. And we're in a stall. Now, when I say a stall, that's a stall warning. You have a couple of knots left before you really have to start worrying about that, right? Dingus, this is Microsoft Flight Sim. Yes, indeed. So our ground speed now... 8 knots, 7 knots. Now the plane is it's trying to drop. There's the wing, lost the wing. Right? It's practice, practice, practice. Keep at that. Now, if we were to do something nuts and mad and absolutely weird and wonderful, right? We probably can't do it now because the winds are so strong. But we'll try it. What happens if we point our airplane in the opposite direction? The wind is now behind us, right? Well, let's have a look at our flight controls and what they do. So, first and foremost, if we hold the brakes and just give it the slightest bit of nose down. Okay, she's holding. Right. Now the flaps, they shouldn't have any impact here. They should help. We should be able to tip that nose forward. But failing the flaps, what if we use the slat on the front here now? Or the slot. It's the same wind, right? But it's directly behind us. Can't get airborne. Give it a small bit of power. And we're going to try and get the nose down and the tail up. Doesn't want to do it. The wind is too strong, look. Kangaroo petrol. It's just not going to happen. Cannot be done. You can't nose over. If we clear up everything, flaps the whole shebang. Same crack again. The wind is so strong coming against the back of the plane, it ain't doing it. It might work with your plane, but for the Norden, doesn't want to do it. Why is that though? This is where we look at, and we mentioned this last week as well, this is where we're looking at aerodynamic braking. And what we mean by that is, the wind, lads, right? Well, the wind is pushing this way. It's coming straight onto the back of the aircraft. And if you see the shape of that wing, well, what's it actually doing? The wind is hitting, see what the white line is? That's effectively, the wind is catching there. It's bouncing off everything else, but it's catching there. There's a slope. It's a slope, right? If you were to look at the wing of like an airliner and they deployed their speed brakes, the spoilers, it's the same shape except it's pointing into the wind. The idea being the wind bounces off of it and it goes up. That reduces your velocity going forward. This is pretty much doing the very same thing. Here's the leading edge of the wing now. The wind is hitting it, it's getting pushed up, thus increasing the weight of the aircraft. It's pushing the aircraft down. Same thing, right? Jay Casey, good to see you. 70 knots works great for your S6S, right? 100%. I kind of got it with the Draco, as you said, very difficult because of the power. Yeah, the Draco was just so powerful, lads, right? So you get an idea of the sort of fun and stuff you can have in the wind, right? And we turn ourselves around. Blaze, you're doing brilliant. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So we'll see now, can we turn our plane around in the wind? Which we should be able to. Oh, Betsy. There we go. As soon as we hit the wind, look at that, man. Tail is immediately up, look. So let's see. Bring us back now to the runway heading. Now, what did we say? 336, wasn't it? Over there a little bit. That'll kind of do her. Right. So the same story again. Stick with the brakes. Notch of flaps. Brakes on, Murph. There's a notch of flaps. The wing is trying to get up. There she goes. Look at that. There we go. The aircraft physically shuffled itself until the airflow was steady over it. Second notch of flaps. Now, I can tip forward. I can tip back a little bit. But now I have authority over the elevator. So with 2 notches of flap, I want to see, can you guys get your aircraft into a similar setup, right? By using just 2 notches of flaps, I have the parking brakes on, no power applied. What I want you to start doing now is very carefully and gently, but deliberately, start applying pressure forward on the stick, right? And see how much you can increase that angle of attack without you know, striking the prop. We're almost full there now. Almost. Shouldn't tip over.
Dreamy, sleepy, nighty, snoozy, snooze.
Okay, it's going to tip over. It'll nearly tip over because we're right on the edge of the envelope of how far we can go. Mutley, good to see you. So that's as close as I want to put. Like, we should be almost we're not. We're like a millimeter of clearance, right? But this sort of thing, what we're doing, this sort of balance, and figuring out what the plane can and can't do. You're learning it. The input, it's building muscle memory, right? So I want everyone to be able to try and do that. Sit perfectly still, only use the flaps. Daddy Plum is doing a great job over there. That's exactly what we want, right? But now, very gently, very slowly on the stick, start pushing it forward, right? You want to start pushing it forward. Idle Cutoff's doing a great job. The Blaze, a little bit fast because he's airborne, but you're getting the right idea. Airlock is over there. Nighthawk is doing brilliantly. That's exactly it. You're pushing the nose down. Now, if you move away from that wind flow or the airflow, the plane will respond, usually aggressively. Rumpelzuck, I imagine, has the wind going the opposite direction. I imagine. That's really good, lads. Look at these two up here, look. Are they flying or are they parked? They're flying. That's exactly what you want to be doing. You're learning then how to keep the plane stable in this strong wind, because with the wind, all that's doing, it's simulating your airspeed. That's all it's doing. Yeah, that's pretty cool, lads. Pretty cool. Oh, retriever Neil got blown over sideways. Right, cool. So what we're going to do next, now we're going to apply a bit of power. Third notch of flaps. And just pull back. Oopsie daisy. And do the same crack again. Can we keep the airplane dead straight and level without forward velocity? Right? Can we do the same again? You don't want to be climbing, you don't want to be picking up speed, just see can you keep the aircraft in a perfect hover. Now we're moving backwards ever so slightly, but it's still okay. And it's small little corrections of keeping the plane exactly where you want, right? So we'll keep it hovering, and let's see how you guys are getting on. So once your flaps are set, that's it. Fierce Wolf has it down to a fine art. Once your flaps are set, give it the welly and pull back, right? Car Freak, good to see you, buddy. Idle cut off, you be the same. So apply full power or even half power and just pull back, and it will lift. There goes Fierce Wolf, perfect. And keep it good and low. I went mad high there, but keep it good and low and try and hold it there. Can you actually go backwards in these conditions? Yes, yes you can, you absolutely can. So Byron is saying don't overcorrect. Yeah, you're going to learn it, so you're going to very quickly start feeling where the limits of the plane are, right? So idle cut off. Your forward momentum, you can stop that momentum by reducing your throttle. But you want to find a fine balance between sufficient power to give you authority over the aircraft and of course then the wind. Yeah? Like this is the stuff that makes heli pilots jealous. You shouldn't be able to do that in these airplanes, but you can. The fact of the matter is you can, right? Now what we're doing, we're dealing in 60 knot winds. You're never going to get that. Not for takeoff. You're not going to go flying on a 60 knot wind. But let's say, for example, we know that this aircraft can get airborne at about 30 odd knots, right? But let's say there was a 20 knot wind. Now you know you can maintain roughly 10 knots over the ground. It just changes the laws of physics, you know. Would an open field be better? The wind is definitely not coming from the set direction. No, there's a reason why we're here, and you can find it, right? I mean, you can absolutely find where the forward, it's roughly this direction here. The wind is blowing in from that direction. But you're right to point out, it's catching the hills and the mountains. But there's a reason for that. It's creating turbulent air. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to show... You might get thermals, but they're not exactly what I'm after. So, with our thermals showing, and they're nuts, primarily because of the wind. So the wind is blowing from right to left here, but our thermals are showing us more to do with heat and where it bounces off the mountains and the impact it has over the terrain. That's what it's showing you, right? But we want more than just thermals. We wanted to see updraft and downdraft rather than just the thermal activity. But again, you get the idea. For instance, if you were going to be flying close to one of these hills or mountains, but because the wind is ahead of us, you'll see where it'll literally push the aircraft up. Or if you go on the far side of it, it'll have the opposite effect. It'll actually drag the aircraft down. And that's just thermal activity that we have, yeah? So it's a world of science and like, huh? But it's just something to be aware of. It's pretty cool, right? So, who have we got airborne here at the minute? Brilliant. Grimmy's doing a great job. Rex is in a chopper. There's Kev. I imagine Kev will be very comfortable with this kind of stuff. Especially if Kev's in a motion rig or you're using force feedback. If you're using anything that has motion, which includes force feedback, you actually feel the impact and how to correct it. It's motion rig and force feedback, I think, is absolutely incredible for when you fly helicopters, because you get to see, or you get to feel where you need to aim into next. It's such an amazing experience. If you ever get the chance to use a motion rig, or indeed force feedback, do you know what I mean? Tis me, Craig, good to see you. Welcome in, buddy. You're very welcome aboard. So that's what you can do with the likes of the wind. It's pretty cool, and you can do it with any aircraft. We're just choosing to do that with our small little aircraft, and have fun with it then as well. Give yourself a bit of a challenge. So let's get back into this, right? Let's see here, for example. So we know at 60 knots, yeah, it's pretty easy to keep the airplane dead straight. Small bit of power. All right, let's kill the power here. Drop in a notch of flaps. Keep the nose down. Let's see, can we touch down nice and gently? Second notch of flaps. Keep her going. Third notch of flaps. And down, right? Let's see what happens when we reduce the wind. Right? Or better yet, before I change the wind, lads, let me show you this first. The weight and balance, and how important this is going to be in your plane, right? So I want you to watch this. The center of gravity at the moment is looking at plus 22%. So if we go to fuel, or weight, or cargo, or any of that jazz, right? What we want to look at here is, if we were to apply cargo, and we start applying weight towards the rear of the aircraft, right? Now, pounds are nothing. Put in 50 pounds into the very back, right? And we're going to load that into the aircraft. Load now. You see the effect it has. Now, if we were to add our flaps back in, see how friggin' nuts the plane reacts, right? See the impact just extra weight on the back of the plane has. It's cancelling out all that we've put in when it comes to our weight and balance. So, put us back into facing the wind. What did you say the heading was? 30 odd? Flaps in. Roughly there, right? Drive her back there now. Right. It's roughly 40, but it's the same crack. So, again, I'm on the brakes. One notch of flaps. Two notch of flaps. Three notch of flaps. We can only we can't even keep the aircraft, we can't keep it stable. With that extra weight in the back of the plane, we're actually getting airborne with just 3 flaps. Just 3 flaps, we're now getting airborne. Isn't that nuts? Right? It's trying to blow us all over the shop. That's brilliant, man. Turn into the wind a bit better. Come on, Betsy. There you go. Right, bring the flaps home. Let it settle. What if we had the weight in the front? Right? So why don't we take this 50 out of there? Right? Load the aircraft immediately. And now let's put 50 pounds in the front. Why can't I put weight in the front? In the very front, please. There we go. Right, 50 pounds in the front. Load the aircraft instantly. So now I've just put weight into the front of the plane. We're sitting with our brakes on, right? So let's go for some flaps now. There's 1 notch. There's 2. There's 3. See the way the tail isn't lifting now? It's slow. It will once we... If we add in a bit of elevator, it will. Get the slots out as well. See if that helps. Almost. Almost. There we go. So that's by putting the weight in the front. Weight in the back, we couldn't get that tail off the ground. Right? Adam Controls, good to see you, buddy. Okay. Flaps in. What if we put the weight in the center? And remember, the more weight, the more the increase in stall speed. And what I mean by that is you'll stall at a lower speed. Sorry, you'll stall at a higher speed. So the same 50 pounds, we've just applied that now to the center of the aircraft. 1 notch of flaps, the tail lifts. 2, 3. Get the slots back in. Look at that. That's with the weight in the center of the airplane. Whereby before, if we put it at the back, you see the impact, the tail stays down. You put it in the front, it's not anyway smooth. You put it right bang in the middle. Flaps and slats will probably get the tail off the ground and she'll hold. Nearly, sorta. Now bearing in mind we've put more weight into the aircraft, yeah? Right. Are we happy so far? Reset the configuration of the airplane and we shall empty this. Load the aircraft now. And get ourselves turned into the wind. Easing out. Don't take off, Murph. 30 odd. Right. Roughly there again, right? So, again, just hold the brakes. 1 notch of flaps. 2. 3. And slat. Slat in. That's pretty much what we're looking for. Alright. Are we happy enough? Cool. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So, now that we've done that, lads, what we're going to do now, bring it back onto live weather. Right? So it's all very calm. And if we... what is this? Midlife Rex isn't showing as an A400, right? If you were to just sit in normal wind conditions, it has no impact. The wind, it's very calm here today. But with what we've just learned now, what we're going to do... Well, we're going to try and take off here, right? So we'll go full flaps for takeoff, because we want to practice a very short takeoff, right? I'll do that externally. So full power. Keep some pressure on the back of your stick. We're airborne. And we're probably off the ground in like, you know, 20 knots or that, right? Now, we want to keep this thing close to stall speed. By extending the flaps, we're allowing us to fly at a lower speed because the wing is bigger, it's getting more lift, right? So we're kind of sitting here on 40 knots. Here's 2 knots of flaps. It doesn't like that. Add a small bit of power. And that's kind of the limit. 34, 35. Right? Your wind settings were changing to 72 knots. Yeah, so you make sure the gusts are out of there, yeah? So what we can do here now, traveling at literally kind of, you know, 39 knots. Don't worry, lads, I'm going the wrong way, so I'm going to turn back to you. We're going to try and maintain our slowest possible speed and still keep the aircraft airborne. This is the challenge now. This is our challenge now, alright? So dropping it back down to about 40 knots. I don't think Scotus can fly. They've got no chance of getting up to 20 knots. So 40 knots indicated. There's about a 3 knot headwind. So I'm going to fly to you. Then we're going to be going down to the left. But the skill here is maintaining control over the aircraft at a very low speed. And then start planning ahead. Look out for your obstacles. Apply your power. Can you fly around it? All that kind of stuff. Alright? So we're doing about 40 knots-ish. We can probably drop that a little bit. And you notice that the wind on live weather, well, it isn't dead straight. It's kind of blowing us across the field. And when we start moving closer to some hills and mountains, the wind flow is going to start changing. It's going to either be pushing us up or it's going to be pulling us down. Could push us to the side either. And this is where knowing, or at least getting the aircraft comfortable with your power settings, 35 knots now, 34 over the ground, and I have 2 knots of flaps gone in there, right? But we're losing altitude, which is not ideal. Alright, well, let's see, can we gain a bit of altitude without trading off too much speed? 34 knots. We're climbing. Small bit of power. And we just want to make sure that we're not picking up too much vertical speed. Keep the thing as low as possible, as in your forward velocity. We want to keep that as low as possible. Now, as we're flying this way, the wind is coming against us, so that mountain in front of us, yes, it'll drop the wind. However, it'll also add to a downdraft. It'll start pushing us down a bit, so we got to watch for that, right? Hassan is here. Good to see you, buddy. Happy Monday, dude. We're good, man. We're learning some STOL flying. So as we start approaching this mountain, watch our vertical speed. Our forward headwind is now dissipating. We're not getting pushed back as much, right? But have a look at the impact on the airplane as we get a little bit closer. We're almost getting free energy here. It's coming in by the valley. It's pretty mad, isn't it? Look at that. We're only barely moving. Photos by Kev. Look at the state of that. He's down there with the horses. But that's the sort of thing. Get it down good and low. Like you're bush flying. This is where the fun is. But as we follow around these valleys, you're going to feel the difference of that wind on the aircraft straight away. You're constantly looking at your speed, your indicated airspeed, and also your altitude. And between the two of them, you're figuring out, whoa, all of a sudden I'm no longer generating as much lift, or all of a sudden I'm after losing out on my velocity. So it's changed here now. Look, for me to maintain level flight, look at my speed. Stall coming in, add a bit of power, get out of the stall. And that's where I want you flying today, lads. I want that stall bell going off every couple of seconds. That's the idea. You're taking it to the limit of the airplane and just getting comfortable. When you talk about maneuvering and turning the aircraft, don't just use your aileron. I want you to use the rudder as well. Sometimes it's easier to steer at this speed with just using your rudder than it is with your aileron. Any obstacles, try and keep above it. And it's not easy. You're gonna have you'll have a few tumbles. But this is real practicing. This is really getting comfortable with how a plane can operate at such a low speed with so many external forces constantly trying to trip you up. And if you can, I don't even think you can master this skill set, but if you keep working on it, when it comes then to competitions, you've such an advantage, because regardless of what the settings are, regardless of what the weather throws at you, you have this muscle memory of knowing where the limit of your airplane is. So much so, you're not even too worried about the instruments anymore. You'll know by just looking around, hang on, this doesn't feel right. I better apply a bit of pressure here, or I'm going too fast. Maybe add in some flap. So we had to apply a lot of power there because of obstacles. The wind was pushing me back. I'd say we go... Jesus, where do we go? We'll chance right here. Now with the wind coming to our side, this is going to have a bigger impact on the airplane. What happens when you get too comfortable and completely stall? It'll happen. It'll happen. But it's a different way of flying now. Instead of, watching your T's and P's, you're trying to maintain the slowest possible speed without stalling the plane. It's such a different way to fly. It's such a different challenge. How slow can I go? We don't often consider that when we're going for a flight in Microsoft Flight Sim. We're like, no, I want to get there as quick as I can. You do this, as MuseFan says, it's a totally different kind of flying altogether. But it really is, lads. But it's a lot of fun. So we'll try and maintain a bit of power here. We'll do one of these, And because, sure, listen, we're in the country, lads. Sure, we might as well enjoy ourselves while we're here and take in the view, because this is what bush flying is all about. It's all about the views. Oh, yeah. Apply some power. You've let Muse down something fierce, lads. Now, look at this as we approach this mountain here. What's happening? We're getting a downdraft. That nose is trying to drop. The airplane is trying to get thrown down. So we'll apply maximum power. 40 odd knots. We should clear it, but we're right on the limit. Look how close to stall we are. Yep, see Daisy. Man, what a beautiful place to go flying, right? Whoa, thermals are hitting us now. All the drafts are hitting us now because of the terrain. It's all over the shop. It doesn't feel like flying, it feels more like surviving. The plane is trying to ditch us, but we're fighting it. That's exactly it. That is the exact experience you're after. Now keep our speed nice and low, but not too low. We're going to approach a stall here shortly. 40 knots. But it's mad, isn't it? And like, you know, if you can just spend a little bit of time every other week practicing this sort of flying, normal conventional flying, you've made the game so much more easier, you know? Sumner, we're going to head down to 2 Uniform 7. Exclamation point route will give you the route. So it's a mini flight we have here tonight. We're just doing a bit of exploring, but we're trying to keep the aircraft as slow as possible. I've zero throttle on at the moment. We're doing about 50 over the ground. We're in a slight descend, but that's because Mother Nature is looking after all the airflow. Now there are other things, of course, the likes of wake turbulence, but it's not good enough. It's good, but it's not optimized at all for us to really start messing around with wake turbulence from other aircraft. It'll kill your FPS, unfortunately. But wake turbulence, that's something else to consider as well. At competitions, the wake category is so light, but when you're doing that sort of precision flying, depending on how close you are to other aircraft and what the wind is doing, yeah, it can be an impact. Now, if you're using live weather and you want to, you know, fly with this sort of style, you're guaranteed to have a different experience every single time. Every single time. And that's what the appeal is to a lot of the bush flyers, because the weather impacts on them so much. They can fly the same route, 10 times a day, but tomorrow if the weather changes, it's a different flight, completely different. Nuts. Small bit of power. We're doing about 40 over the ground. Now, we're sticking it to the canyons and valleys right now. That brings its own challenges, but it also brings us back away from having to deal with the wind, the full strength of the wind, right? A while ago, I found the Cessna L19 hard. Now you're in the PZ, the Wilga. Oh, yeah. But again, lads, it depends on the aircraft you go with. Each aircraft will respond differently. You know what I mean? And the weight and balance will have a huge impact into what you're doing. Now, again, because we're in the bush, well, we have huge advantages here. Watch this. Let's land full flaps, right? Let's land right here. Because you can. Your velocity is so slow. You can pretty much put these things down, well, anywhere, right? Hold the nose up. And we're down. Now, the challenge is, can we get back out again? We should be able to, right? Perfect, Blaze. That's absolutely brilliant. I mean, would you ever consider trying to land... Oh, no, you poor old devil, Larry. Would you ever... You would never consider trying to land in a space like this. But because we're now used to flying so slow, this is where bush flying... you watch Kando, man, and Norcali. They'll land on, like, small little sandbanks by a river. 20, 30 feet long. Yeah, we'll put it down there. You're like, what? Right? Now, it's easier, funny enough, to land these machines than it is to taking off again. So we'll back it up and just give ourselves a little bit of runway here so we can get airborne, right? So we'll just back it up here nice and handy. Murph, what are you doing playing video games? You should get a pilot license and be after a CFI. This is way more fun and safer. You'd want to be a special kind of muppet to fall off your chair. You know, well, I've done that. But, like, you know what I mean? There's no real life injuries we can incur here. So, we're going to go full flaps, horse in some slats as well, maximum power, hold the brakes. Off the brakes, small bit of pressure on the back of the stick. We're flying, we're airborne, and just try and catch it before it throws you back. We're off the ground in what? 20 feet there? Nothing wrong with that, man. And that's how we do. Like, it opens up the world in Flight Sim. Literally, you can fly anywhere, land anywhere. And then you can go for, like, some of those mad challenges. Try to land in that building in Dubai, or, you know, try and put it down in places. Usually you wouldn't. It's where the whole thing starts getting really cool. Like, really cool. Kando has taught you well, Murph. He has, like, the skills Kando has. And, like, this is his type of flying. He does this all the time, right? Same with Norcali. A name that I can't pronounce is asking me to crash. What? Jesus, I'll spill me drink. But don't worry, you'll crash many times doing this sort of stuff. And here's a tiny little spot in here. You'd say, hey, you know what? We could set up a camp in here and go camping. And that's the appeal of the bush flying, right? Bit of power. And, like, how low we are to the ground. How close we are to the limit, the envelope of the aircraft. We're right on the limit of this. Verstappen, good to see you. Hope you're well. It's to go anywhere, land anywhere flying. Yeah, absolutely. There's Grimmy. And again, there's no right or wrong aircraft, lads. It's whatever machine you want to fly. You know what I mean? If you want to be in the Draco, the Norden, the American Scout, the Champion, you know, a Piper Cub, the Husky, Kit Fox, 182, 172, I mean, Kodiak, it doesn't really matter. The bigger the plane, the heavier the plane, the more space you need. Yeah? Yeah, the Cub, another great example. Yep. Smoke on for some FPS killer. Shouldn't be affecting FPS. They changed the system on that airlock. And a lot of the time folks aren't actually having smoke turned on. It's the sim trying to be the sim, you know? It just happens, I suppose. It is a cool game. It really is. And, like, crashing, you know, there's no real crash physics, right? Airlock, I think you can turn that down, visual effects, but I'm not sure that, because I know, for example, I know folks might have it turned off, but it's coming on anyway. I saw that in some multiplayer things. Pain in the ass, you know? Where be you? Gonna grab the Fox. We've just left 2 Uniform 8, Thomas Creek. We're about 10 miles out. Ali, thank you very much for subscribing. But yeah, like, there's no real crash physics. So like, here's a road now we're going to try and put it down on, right? So we go full flaps. And just see, can we... Now, there's a crosswind here. That's going to make life interesting. Bit of power. Get us over the hump. Find the trees. And let's see, can we aim for the road here? Easy now. Easy now. As I bounce. Well, that's where we got big chunky tires. Easy now. That's the wrong button. There's Heisenberg. Hey, look at that. He's made it.
Oh, Jesus.
That's awesome. You gotta love it, right? You gotta love it. Anyone else have all the electrics flashing on and off in the Norden? Toto, you might have a button bounce or something. Yepsy daisy. Like, how cool is that? You're airborne in like a sneeze. Whoa, Kato's in trouble. Look out. Oh, Jesus. Remember your power management. Connor, good to see you, buddy. Around to the left here, boys. Now, 70 knots, that's a little bit fast. Calm it down again. Easy does it. Gadget is here, welcome in. I see my smoke on stream, not got it on though. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. There's nothing you can do, Daddy Plump. I mean, my smoke is not on, but for some, I have smoke on, you know? Not a fan of the 707. Isn't there a 707 in the sim? But it's not great, man. It's like... It's just not great. Okay, so we'll meander around this way a bit. 45 knots indicated. We've a bit of a tailwind here, so we'll drop the speed a bit. I still have 2 notches of flaps. So we're flying with our flaps. It just means we can fly slower without hitting that stall limit. Some nice sounds in here. And again, like, anything you can do to reduce the weight of the airplane, you know what I mean? Must be on the ground, okay. Just seen Facebook post from A2A. Cessna 172. You get the window fixed, Murph. No, upstairs, hammer nails, I didn't. Ah, Jesus. I still have work to do in my house. Big Al, good to see it. Retriever Neil, where'd you see that? I was only chatting to them the other day. Easing out. Yeah. I don't know, are they going with the 172? But they have a picture of it. I've asked them so much, like, lads, just give us the 172, will you? Do you know? Name of the game, it's Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Man, I'd freaking love a 172. It's the battery, it goes flat. Is everything turned on? ECUs are turned on. Your battery backup, P1 and P2, they should all be on this one. Are you on a trip to nowhere? No, Valen, we're heading to 2 Uniform 7. We're slightly off course a little bit. Bit of power coming in.
Hello there.
We'll pick up our speed. So get rid of the flaps. And this is going to allow us to fly at, well, nowhere near minimum. John C, good to see you. CB, welcome in. John is on holidays. Nice. Thanks, Neil. So the Norden is cool because it can haul ass. This thing can move, right? Other aircraft, the likes of the Draco, I mean, that's nuts. The power is just bananas, right? But we'll start picking up a little bit of speed here, because otherwise it'll take us about 2 hours to get to where we're going. And the terrain will get a little bit more interesting. Yeah, they did say that Energizer, but, you know, also good evening. Good evening. They said the next plane is something they've not done before. But I don't know. I am of the opinion there is a fairly good demand for a study level Cessna 172. Absent the WB sim. You know what I mean? The 172, you know, to be the be all of the 172. Dougal McTavish, the chairman, is here. Good to see you, buddy. Didn't WB sim do it? They did, but like, do you know, they didn't bring it to 2024, and they can't either because you know, Asobo locked down the aircraft. Black Square should do one. I think it'd be cool if Nick did one. Nick or A2A, either or. I'd like a Mooney. Yeah, Mooney be nice. The DHC2, your all-time favorite? Beaver? Great plane. Great plane. Man, look at this terrain here. Friggin' nuts, right? Now, we're at speed here, but, like, it's grand. We'll slow it down in a while, but we'll just keep moving it. Yeah, man, Microsoft Flight Sim, this is such an awesome game. It's awesome. Can't wait to see the Baron previews. As can I. Who do you think he is? Trent Palmer? Brilliant. What plane is this? It's the Zlin Aviation Norden, it's called. Isn't it Zlin? Yeah. The Zlin Aviation Norden, based on a real airplane. And the developer of this one has got friends. There's loads of deforestation. Yeah. Loads. Alright, we'll keep mucking on. We're about halfway to Uniform 7. But doesn't it give you the confidence now, knowing how slow you can actually fly these aircraft? You know what I mean? A little bit to the left. Man, yeah, you're right. The deforestation here, it's freaking huge. Mad. Right, loads of power to climb this hill. Yup, you divil ya. Murph, the Zenith 701, you can hang at 20 knots. Really? Was that the SWS Zenith? Like, depending on the wind, I mean, you know. So you weren't affected by the global internet outage then, Murph? When was that, Big Al? Was that today? A global internet outage. Jeez. Yesterday. What's today? No, I was okay. I've been online pretty much all day. Man, look at the views here. Look, this is friggin' nuts. Right, keep us right down close to the ground. Get the power out. Get the speed right down. Takes a lot to bleed the speed in this. AWS went down, really? Jesus. Could barely get any work done until after lunch. I was so upset about it. Really? AWS went down? Jesus. That's mad. Yeah, I didn't notice it, to be honest. Yeah, no, I'd say it's back up and running. Oh, Jesus, go handy now, Murph. Look at this. Man, that's just the power of this plane. We're right on the limit, and we can climb. That's nuts. Yeah, over the hump. Like, you can kind of just maintain 40 odd knots here and not be in any trouble. Isn't it cool? Microsoft Online went down as well. Are you serious? Jeez, I didn't know it. Didn't see any of it. Headwind, we have a little bit... No, we actually have a bit of a tailwind. Just looking around, trip flights to Dublin and the process are almost cheaper than buying a passport. Jesus. Didn't Cloudflare have a big whoopsie earlier in the year? Yeah, that knocked everyone out. Yeah, so the wind direction has certainly changed here. And again, you're always looking out for kind of telltale signs. Are the trees moving? Clouds, you won't see it unless there's like low clouds. Like 60 odd knots, knowing that you have the ability to get yourself in or out of trouble. There's Naughty Gnome. Jesus, naughty. He's down good and low. Bit of power. Also as well, other advantages for being able to fly your airplane this slow, it becomes in very handy for trying to learn how to do formation flying. Gilmere, good to see you. It's Lynn Aviation Norton. It's one of the release aircraft for Flight Sim 24. From Got Friends. Now, on Wednesday we're checking out an upcoming Got Friends aircraft. Looking forward to that. And all going well, we're going to be showing the C-130 off in DCS. Ooh. Can anyone please tell me which game this is? Maverick Jones, this is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. And it's only magic. This is, it's brilliant. It really is, like... It could frustrate the bejesus out of you, but like this sort of flying, this is where the sim absolutely shines. Remember Combat Flight Sim? Yeah, it's awesome. Lads, I'm utterly impressed by your flying capabilities, considering you know, we're no stranger to bush flying, and we've done it loads of times before. But you're certainly picking things up very, very quickly, and you can see it in your flying skills. How close we're keeping things to the ground. You know, the use of flaps, your energy management, and just sheer finesse flying. It's really good. Big Al, it really is, buddy. And look at the state of this, man. Angry Meerkat, good to see you, buddy. Welcome in. Alright, okay, so we're kind of cruising down towards 2 Uniform 7. Stanley, which is down here on our right a little bit. Easy does it. Let the power back a little bit. So we'll plot on. We're going to be there in 6 minutes, give or take. Maverick says, you got such an extensive setup. Is it really almost similar to flying an actual aircraft? Yeah. I mean, you can't see it, it's out of shot, but like I've a motion rig as well. You couple that with VR and force feedback controllers. I mean, literally the only thing you're missing is the smells of aviation. You know, Avgas or friggin' Jet 2. I mean, or Jet A. Can you use a 152 or 172 for stall? Yeah. No worries at all, Maverick. No such thing as a silly question, lads. I mean, we're all here to learn, me included. And I love the fact that we can learn this stuff. It's cool, like. Also, big update for the F-28. Yes, 2024 native. Like, you know, some of the stuff, when you consider this style of flying. Abnormal C, thank you very much indeed. 41 months, man. Jesus, thank you very much indeed, buddy. Okay, mind the tree, Murph. It's going to be Dodge. Think about other uses, why you might need to use this style of flying in the real world. What sort of operations, this sort of flying. I mean, we're so low to the ground, we're keeping our speed as low as possible. Search and rescue, yeah, that's a great example. But you can see the skills then when you look rescue missions, yeah, under the radar, yeah, tactically if you wanted to, of course. Fire spotting, great example, yes. Drug smuggling, yeah, if that's your bag. If you're Barry Seal. Medivac, yep. Civil Air Patrol, they do this sort of stuff, you know, a lot. But also, agricultural work.
Hello there.
Jesus. Maverick Jones, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for subscribing. No, crop spraying, yeah, crop dusting, agri and rural mail routes, yeah, agricultural work, right? That's a huge thing. Huge thing. Surveying, yes, of course. But agri work is a huge thing. And I think of the extra challenge they have because, you know, they have the weight of whatever they're carrying, whatever chemicals they spray, and then the aircraft is getting lighter as they're spraying it. So they're constantly adjusting their aircraft. That's a skill unto itself. You know what I mean? With mail, just hover over the house, throw it out, right? Keen Lafferty is here, good to see you. Eddie, good to see you. So STOL, S-T-O-L, that stands for short takeoff and landing. Short takeoff and landing. Isn't a lot of outback bush flying STOL because of the short dirt runways? 100%. Area reconnaissance, yeah. 100%. Like, these are all the reasons why flying like this, it is a thing. It just is, right? And like for bush pilots, think about it as well. Flying this low and slow, if you were flying off the beaten track and you want to, you know, hey, I'm going to land here. Well, you need to be able to survey the runway. That's a huge part of what you're going to do, right? So you want to overfly the runway as low as you can to see what's happening down there. How about just for fun? Yes, yes. The Simmons Microsoft Flight Sim, learning to stall in a plane course. Watch Trent Palmer on YouTube. Yeah, yeah. Oh, 100% won't fly here. Trent is brilliant. Johnny, thank you very much indeed for the follow. Bush pilots deliver goods to remote areas as well. Yeah. 100%. Everyone seems to be landing here. Is this where we're going? I don't think this is our stop. I could be wrong. 2 Uniform 7. Or maybe you just found somewhere nice you wanted to land. But like, isn't that cool? I mean, you can find locations here. You just say, you know what? Let's set up camp here. And then you throw in something like camp out. So it's freaking cool. Like, I'm watching what Kando does, like, and it's awesome, man. They'll fly somewhere, they'll land, they'll break out the beers and the tents, and then they switch it over to Hunter Call of the Wild. They go hunting. It's nuts, man. You know what I mean? Short takeoff and landing. Should be STOL, S-T-O-L, yeah. So STOL is it's a characteristic given for aircraft that will operate on very short strips. Therefore, they need to have a short takeoff and short landing capability. And they're not all small planes. I mean, there's friggin' business. There's aircraft as large as, like, you know, Jesus, on the ground. There's airliners with STOL capability, short takeoff and landing. Man, this is a really nice part of the world, isn't it? No, hey, you like yours better? Okay, abnormal. Alright, so we got a runway coming up. VTOL is vertical takeoff and landing. They don't include the A. There's a bug with the sim. I didn't try and exit the aircraft. Stupid thing. Yes, yes, I know. Who said I'd ever be not normal, says Abnormal C. 100%. Ramus Jag, good to see you, buddy. I've done VR, man. I've done VR. JDO packs in a C-130. There you go. Alrighty, so we're coming up to an airport now. But rather than just a nice, easy plane landing, let's see, can we put in the smallest or shortest possible landing and use as much precision as we can. Let's overfly the field. Let's pick a point that we say, that's where we're stopping, and then go back and try and do it. Dash 7, yeah, great example. Great example. Done 2 real-world JDO takeoffs in a 130, a C-130. Ooh, yeah. You felt every bit of that, I'd say. Seen the Blue Angels Fat Albert do JDO. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking. It's pretty cool looking. So JDO means jet assisted takeoff. Jeez, look at the gaff on the hill there, look. Jesus. Look at the house, look at the view they have. That's amazing. Right. Here's a runway. Let's go inspect it. How much does your rig cost? And for starters, can we start the game without your level of investment? It's expensive. However, yes. Entry, it doesn't have to be expensive at all. The most expensive thing you're going to invest in is a computer. But you'll pick up everything as I have over the years, you know? Okay. I'm looking for any wind socks. Can't see that. Wind blowing. Seems to be calm enough. Right? So in terms of where do we want to stop this puppy? Well, let's have a look. 40 knots. Easy now. So my plan is, right, I want to touch down. Yeah, alright, stop with the notifications, man. I want to stop or touch down right at that house. But obviously on the runway, right? That's my aiming point. That's where I want to be able to stop this machine, alright? So let's see if we can do it. Now we're a little bit high. That's too high. Let's get out of here and drop a bit of altitude. Easy now. Hey, there's Foxfly. Alright, let's circle back. Right, easy does it. Turn off the name tags or name tag so I can see what I'm doing. Mind the trees. Of course there's trees right in the approach. So we're gonna have to swoop down for this. Alrighty. We have a lot of speed, so we'll try and bleed this off as we come in. Mind the brakes. It's not pretty, but it's accurate, right? Not pretty, but it's accurate. So, when you do the, it's really not naughty. I've checked everything, man, and it's behaving itself now. I have no idea, right? When it comes to landing, when you're doing the national STOL stuff, there'll be markers on the runway, you know, like Oshkosh, you know, land on the blue circle, land on the red circle, all that kind of stuff. Oshkosh would be a great place for training accuracy of precision landings. It just would. It's very, very good, right? But what we're doing here, it's kind of much the same. That's what you're trying to avoid, though. The old nose over. That's what you're trying to avoid. And how do you avoid that? If your airplane is so liable to doing a nose over, make sure you put a little bit of weight into the tail. Carry a little bit of weight. And then you got to be so careful on your brakes. You're not applying full brakes. Think of ABS in your car, anti-lock braking system. So if you jam on the brakes, what happens? The wheels stop, the inertia carries the prop forward and the tail up. If you're on your brake pedals, think of ABS, on off, on off, on off, on off, rapidly deploying the brakes. It gives you control back on the stick. So try that. And yes, it does help without the parking brake on. But even for braking, it's a different, especially in a tail dragger, if you can kind of start thinking of, well, if I jam on the brakes versus if I'm taxiing at speed, right? I'm now tapping the brakes. It's very, very different. Now, obviously I wasn't tapping them at the same pressure on each wheel because we turned. But you get the idea, right? It's almost like putting ABS into them. See how you get on with that. Right, so let's do a quick experiment once again, just to make sure we're all comfortable with it. So, our heading is 180 degrees. Let's go into the weather. And let's go to the wind. And let's go 180 degrees. Right? And let's give ourselves 60 knots. And we're going to do the same thing all over again. We'll do the very same all over again. Right? So with 60 knots, keep the brakes on. Throw some flaps in. There we go. Oopsie daisy. Brakes are under pressure. Get the parking brakes on. See the way this isn't working out to plan? Does anyone have a theory as to why this isn't working? I can tell you why it's not working. But does anyone have a theory as to why this may not be working? I'm trying to apply the brakes, but the wind is catching the airframe in such a certain angle, right? Brakes are broken? No. Naughty, you take care. Dude, take a fierce handy, buddy. We'll catch up soon, buddy.
It's not the plane. It's the pilot.
Well, it's the weather. No, not the flaps. Think about it, lads. Why is this the case now that I can't get that angle onto me? Well, I've just done it now. But if I put myself... I'll show you, right? So parking brake is on. Press the wrong button. Balls. What can we tell about this runway? You're adding wind with the propeller? Maybe. And then it's a sail. King and Nafford, give that man a can of Coke. There's an actual slope on the runway. And these are things, and it's what is it, 2%? See the way the runway slopes? We were up here. See the slope? You guys can see that, right? Can you see the slope, yeah? See it now? So what happened when we were up on the slope? Well, because the wind is going dead against our aircraft, right? Where's my plane? Here it is. If there's a slope on the aircraft, the wind is not hitting the plane dead on. The wind, right, was bouncing along the slope and pushing up into here. If the wind is pushing up into here, look at the angle of attack of the wing. It's like that. And the wind, instead of hitting this way toward the rear of the aircraft, well, the wind was going up to the top, meaning technically it's pushing the aircraft back. There's no point trying to lift it. It's actually pushing it back onto that tail wheel. Mad, right? It was the slope. You know, what headwind is it, Tyler? It's 60 knots, man. Now, we're now on very level ground, right? This is very level now. So, like, if I just use some flaps here now, that tail should come up. Right? And look at that, we're flying, look. We're airborne at that. Isn't it nuts? This airport 2 uniform 7. Ah, no, I've jagged it. Right, let's see, can we get down the track a little bit? Let's see what we can do here. Keep pressure on the front. Try not to take off. It's mad, Ted, isn't it? I mean, look at this. I can get airborne at this speed. Like, this is nuts, lads, right? Check this out. Oopsie daisy. I mean, we're flying, right? Almost no vertical movement whatsoever. Yeah, the helo pilots be going nuts when they see this. You know, like, we're totally stealing their party joke. Uh, 60 knots, Tyler. 60. This is why you take off into the wind, yes. Strawberry has a question. Are wind knots and speed knots for warships the same? Yes, they're nautical, so yes. And look at that. We're actually moving backwards. But you see it, oh Jesus, there's a stall. Do you see how the angle of attack on the wing have such a profound impact? For instance, right, if I pull the stick back and try and lift the wing, see the way it instantly stalls. There's just not enough airflow for it to fly. When do you deploy slats? It depends if the aircraft have slats. Slats and your flaps, they're all part of lift. They're basically, in this category, they're lifting devices, heavy lift devices, right? And it's all about making the wing a lot bigger. You know, a great way to kind of figure out the use of flaps when it comes to wings. Do you ever see a bird trying to land? Like a crow trying to land, or like, you know, a duck or a swan? They tend to go full wingspan and they curve their wings down. Also known as a flare. You do that in parachuting. It's the same concept in airplanes. You're making the wing longer by altering the shape of it. So the distance in which the air has to move around the wing takes that little bit longer, that little bit further. Yeah, 100% keen. Like, I mean, effectively what this is our own little wind tunnel. You know what I mean? Why in the same ground speed and total airspeed seem to be the same? Well, you have what's called indicated airspeed, IAS, and then you'd have your total airspeed, and then you have your ground speed. Your ground speed is measuring how fast you're moving above ground. Indicated airspeed is how fast you're moving through the air. Or true airspeed, sorry, yeah. True airspeed. So your true airspeed versus your indicated airspeed. Like, for example, right, my indicated airspeed is 23 knots. However, my ground speed is 2 knots. That makes sense? Hold the stall, there's the wing. Keep practicing that, lads, until you start feeling you know, when that wing wants to drop. I mean, that's when you know you've hit the limit. So the challenge is keep it above that limit. You know what I mean? Right. My barrel was off slightly. That's okay. Oopsie daisy. Okay, we continue on. Next stop and final stop is Uniform 87. And that's heading down to a place called Smiley Creek. Speaking of creek, let's go down in here to the riverbed. Alrighty. Easy now. Now, I don't know how well the sim does it, but also the surface you're over has an impact on the movement of wind as well. I don't think they've done it that much with water, though. Maybe they have. We're playing a little wash. Oh, jeez, it's up the bank. Yep, you devil you. Oopsie daisy. Mind the car. Mind the trees. There's a nice gap. Oopsie daisy. Now keep the speed low and follow the river. For this element, try and use your aileron and your rudder. And just watch that speed. Dave Cleary, you take it easy, buddy. Mind the ground, yeah. But use your turning now in coordination with your rudder. Ailerons and rudder. Especially at low speed. You'll see the difference. If you just try and use your ailerons to, you know, move you around here, or just use your rudder and then use both of them. It's incredible, like the difference when you're coordinating everything at such a low speed. It's class, man. It really is. Like how slow we can actually go and still maintain control of the machine. It's nuts. We're barely any power in there. Isn't that cool looking? Dip the old wheel in for good luck. Bit of rudder, bit of aileron. It's so cool when you can do this. It's just fun. Don't go too deep because again you're gonna nose over, right? Senior, we are on the Southeast Asian server. Yep, see daisy. Watch for stall. Loads of power. Jesus, we're gonna hit the trees. Made it over the trees. Flying an external view is not for the faint heart. Easy now. That's a big tree, Merv. They'll hurt. I'm shagged. We're going to die. Right. We will crash many times. Up onto the road. We're going to play chicken with that car ahead of us. Right. Yep, see daisy. Now, if you look at some of the national STOL videos, you'll actually see them. The power of the engine is so much, and the backwash or the prop wash, when they're sitting idle with the brakes on and they apply power, they can actually lift the tail of the aircraft. And some planes can do that. The Draco can do it. The Draco can do two things. It can lift the tail up and it can also sink itself into the ground. The Draco is nuts. It's just the power of that plane is ridiculous. Right, back into over that river again. We're carrying loads of speed. Easy now. Under the bridge, why not? Right. So, like, you look for riverbanks here to say, do you know, we could probably land there. Now, it's a little bit, the terrain is a little bit high here, but, like, I mean, here's the spot here, look. Easy now. We're a little bit fast with this one. Watch the speed. Kind of make that one. Not our finest hour of work. You big idiot. Is it out? Alright. Yupsie daisy. No, you're not going to take off in the water. Although we might. Yes, we will. What a machine this thing is, man. Jesus. Good thing we packed a backup plane, right? Alright, we continue on. Alright, bring the flaps in. Get us up to speed here. It's a different world down here, isn't it? When you're down this low, like, you're looking around thinking, man, this scenery is so good. If we were 2,000 or 3,000 feet up, it doesn't look as nice. It's weird, isn't it? Next stop, Johnny, is our final stop, Uniform 87, U87. But it's just awesome, man. It's, you know, getting to explore the world, like the whole bush flying thing, and like you get yourself so far off the beaten track, really remote areas, like some of the scenery, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Alright, we're right out. About 10 minutes. But it's very much practice. Keep practicing this. Do what we've done with when it comes to like the wind speed, and just get a bit of practice down into that, just to give you that feeling of knowing where the control limits are. And as I said, It's Norcalia is going to be joining us to explain more about STOL, because it's one thing learning, you know, all about stall, and then we put it all together and we start experiencing, using the theory, putting it into practice. But then when you want to get competitive into this, fantastic fun, really is. Man alive, look at the scenery, like, isn't it unbelievable at this altitude? Like, it's such a different experience, isn't it? Does your motion rig help you feel stall better? It can do, yes. So your motion rig, I mean, effectively what it's doing, it simulates motion, and what I mean by that is it simulates the forces on your body more so than getting thrown around in an airplane, if that makes sense. And it's absolutely incredible. It can be very immersive. You know, especially you couple that with VR and force feedback, flying something like a helicopter, you're in the chopper, man. For all intents and purposes, you are actually flying. It's incredible. And even a Cessna 172 flying, when you feel the forces on your body as you're turning and moving, and you feel the yaw, like to actually feel yaw, rather than just like, you know, looking at the screen thinking, am I on, you know, are we crabbing, you know? So motion rig and VR need for about, yeah. Well, like the last time, this will tell you, the last time I used my motion rig and VR, and I hadn't used it for quite some time, I was flying the Alouette off the cliffs of Moher in Ireland, and I was doing what any Egypt does. I was diving off the cliffs, turning around, and I was acting the Egypt, and I wasn't well for an hour. It took me a good hour to get the colour back in my face. It's all about conditioning and training. And even in VR, you have to do that. There's folks who just can't handle VR. You have to train. It's weird, right? Yeah, you genuinely have to train yourself not to be queasy or feeling a little bit, you know, nauseous or nauseated when you're in VR. Other people, no problem at all. They can just jump in and they're grand. And to those, I say, shag off. How lucky you are. You know, insert aggressive word of choice, right? But you know, for me, I mean, I don't do well with motion sickness at all. I'm a useless passenger in any vehicle. I can just about handle aircraft. I need to be driving, or I need to be shotgun. It's just something weird. I can't face the opposite direction when moving. I'd be like Huey and Ralph, projectile, uncontrollable. In fact, it's just one of those things. Astro Jack, good to see you, buddy. This is the Zlin Aviation Norden from Got Friends. Just close your eyes. No, man, doesn't work. Doesn't work. First time I set foot in a boat, I couldn't stand for half an hour. Yeah, it's like getting your sea legs. I mean, sea legs aren't too bad. They used to be terrible, you know. The only time I ever felt sick in VR was being a backseater in an F-16 in DCS. Yep. That'll do it. You know, and I have Steiny like, Murph, get into VR. I'm going to take you for a drive around. And no. There will be vomit everywhere. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Astrojack. But I will say this, lads. Experiencing VR is brilliant. If you've never used VR before,
Hello there.
it is incredible. It's so immersive, you know. New bar, welcome in. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is the name of the game. Rob's welcome in. That's why Murph always goes up to the cockpit whenever he's flying, asking the pilots if they'd mind letting him fly, otherwise he'll puke. Yeah, pretty much. Jesus, lads, you wouldn't mind terribly now, but can I fly there, you know? Yeah, it's funny, man. This can't be done. Bellbro, a lot. If I'm flying GA, yes. I'm not too bad GA because I'm riding up front, right? But if I'm in the back of a GA plane, not going to be pretty. Yeah. Hop in the back there, Murph. I'd rather not. I'll stay here. No, you'd be grand. Jump in the back, Murph. No, I'm okay, thanks. It's just kind of where I'm at, you know. With VR, you can fly so well. Yeah, man, that's the other thing. Your flying skills, you know, multiply so much more in VR and on a motion rig, because you now have this direct feedback, but also your field of view inside of VR, that perception of what's actually around you. It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. Helis are so much easier even with basic VR. Joe, couldn't agree with you more, man. Could not agree with you more. Folks who struggle with helicopters, if you put them in VR, they no longer struggle with helicopters. Rob's tried this week VR with Flight Sim. It's insane. Yeah, man. It's such... driving and flying in VR is friggin' awesome. You know? If you don't have control on a long-haul flight, how do you manage? I'm not too bad. Long-haul flights, I'm not too bad. I mean, I just sit there and sleep or watch TV. Like, I'm not too bad long-haul. Airliner stuff, I'm not too bad with. But road transport, forget it. Forget it. King of Pub, good to see you. Player Unknown Battlegrounds, welcome in, buddy. When driving in VR, you can pick the apex of the corner so easy. Oh, absolutely, man. But even in flying, it's because you have way more peripheral vision. And like, it's gas, right? If you haven't tried VR and you see the cockpits that we're in, you're in VR, I mean, they're so much bigger. And the detail the developers have put in there, you only really see their hard work when you're in VR, you know? Trying to fly helicopters without pedals, so hard. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, very difficult. Not impossible, but very, very difficult. This is so cool with the road here, look. We're low speed, I mean, careful now. We're doing about 50 knots, what's that, about 70 miles an hour? We can probably slow this down. I mean, I don't think we can get it down to the speed of that van ahead of us. Maybe we can. Here's a challenge. Easy now. Off the ground. Get her off the ground. And he immediately turned around. Of course he did. Easy now. This is interesting. Whoa, that's seriously slow speeds, lads. I'm loving it. Well done. There's Blaze. Can we stick with Blaze? I mean, look how close this is. This is ridiculous, look. Look at this, man. Oh, jeez, the truck! It's like Mystic coming out of the tunnel again. Could you suggest me a beginner-friendly HOTAS? New bar? Yeah, man, I mean... Entry-level HOTAS, Thrustmasters T16000. Great bit of kit, great sensors in it. You can go higher end, but for entry-level, even their Airbus... Here's a wandering cow. Even an Airbus is pretty good. The Airbus stuff is pretty good. Are they cows? What are they? What in the name of... Carnation is that? Easy now. This is good farming country we're flying over now, lads. VR is a surreal experience as it is, but Microsoft Flight Sim in VR is something else. Yeah, man, it's unbelievable. It is incredible. It's one of those UFO cows. Yeah. I just saw a car disappear, says Joe. Mountain goats, ranching, not farming. Okay. I started with a HOTAS, great starter. I'd always recommend starting with a HOTAS and Flight Sim. The reason being is if you go for something like a yoke, which are great, you're limited when it comes to, like, you know, fast jets, helicopters especially. It just makes it more difficult. If you have a HOTAS setup, joystick, I mean, that's what I use. This is all Virpil gear that I use. And it's, the quality is so good. But I started off like anyone else, man. I mean, you know, Microsoft Sidewinder joystick, force feedback back in the day. I'd Cytec gear for years. Thrustmaster Warthog gear, that was real good. Had that for a long time. Black Sheep Jean says, anyone near San Jose, California, welcome to call me up and try out my VR. Yeah, nice one. Gene, I'll be over in the morning. Johnny Mon started off with a HOTAS, great starter. It just is. And also, Johnny Mon, how the devil are you, buddy? Good to see you, man. If you've never tried VR, just try it. If you're coming to our Dublin meetup, I'll have I'm bringing my VR headset up. If anyone wants to try VR, that's the Pimax Crystal Light. It's a great bit of kit. The quality is just phenomenal. The clarity, brilliant. But I'm going to bring that up to the Dublin meetup. If you're going to our Dublin meetup, you'll get to have a shot of it. Also, force feedback. I'm going to bring up the Moza AB6. I have that in the box there. So that'll be on display as well. And you'll get hands-on. You can try it out, right? I don't make anything from this. I've no referral links. But I'm passionate about good hardware that, you know, if I like stuff and I know it's good, I'll recommend it. 20 minutes in VR and I'm toast. Yeah, that's a thing. But Eisenberg, here's like 20 minutes. That's a good amount of time. Like to condition yourself and train, I'd always say give yourself literally 5 minutes. Have a glass of water after. Take a break for like half an hour, and then do another 5 minutes. And tomorrow do one 10-minute session, and then the day after do another 10 minutes, and then the day after do 15 minutes. Like you genuinely got to build yourself up to using VR. Now there is a question I need to ask the guys at STOL, because I would say flying in VR would give you a distinct advantage over someone not flying in VR doing the competition stuff. Ah, Fox is still here. Fox, VR pilots, is there a restriction on folks flying in VR, or do they have their own category? There's a question. I know there's someone who flies in the competitions in VR. So you can fly the competitions in VR. There's no handicap against them for using VR, no? Think about it. I mean, you can argue the toss and say, well, I'm using an Xbox controller or I'm in a motion rig. Who has the overall advantage? It's hard, it is a hard one to call, right? VR starter kit, about 20 bottles of water, a fan blowing air in your face, 70 knots in an ice bath, right? Okay, so you can use VR in VR 2D, doesn't matter. Okay, well that's good. So guys who use VR, that could potentially be an advantage. Maybe not, because you're now in VR and like the movements could make you ill, but it's interesting. That's pretty cool, man. Like a lot of folks will say, you know, how can you flight sim without VR? You know, most of my flights are in VR. You definitely have to build a tolerance. Yeah. Have you tried flying in flight sim using a racing sim wheel? No, Strawberry, I haven't. The problem is you'll get the turn, but you won't get the elevator. You won't get the uppy down movements. You'll move left and right, roll, but how do you figure out your elevation? When I used to compete, I preferred 2D. Really, Fox? In 2D, you've more control over what's going on around you, I think. VR, you're very much in the moment. So yeah, I think there's yeah, low fuel. That's a good job. We're very close. More visual anchors, yeah. Who cares if you throw up as long as your landing looks good? That's exactly it. What happened in here? I was in a competition last night. Johnny Mon says, I get motion sickness pretty easy, so I'll build a PC in the coming months and probably wait till later next year to try VR. Johnny, that's the thing. You're not alone in that. And it does take conditioning. You know, it does. You got to train yourself for it, right? So lads, how have we enjoyed tonight with this extremely slow flying? Like, we've done an average speed here of about 45 knots, right? Strawberry Fox, thank you very much indeed. And considering we're in an aircraft that's capable of over 100 knots, we've really kept the speed down. It's a very different type of flying, but like, what I would say to you, practice flying like this, you know, a little bit more. Because when it comes then to the STOL stuff, which I'm very excited for you guys to try out. And wouldn't it be great if we managed to get a couple of folks entered into a competition in different categories? I think that'd be friggin' awesome. Done this for years with Kando and Arcali. Yeah. Flying with a sim wheel is the most cursed thing. Right? Heisenberg says, awesome, I've never tried it before. Sweet. Nandex Power, thank you very much indeed for the follow. Welcome in, buddy. It's a very different, and I keep saying this, but it is. This is so different than our usual kind of flights here. But, you know, when you look at what we can do in the sim, it's just another freaking experience, you know? Whoa, what's happening here, Betsy? Did the wind suddenly change? Easy now. Could be worse. You could try and fly with a Guitar Hero gadget. Mrs. TBHI, I struggle with going slow, right? I watch your stream using A350 Wi-Fi. Looking at planes on a plane is priceless. Lord Blackwood, that is absolutely awesome. That is awesome. I hope you're having a nice flight, man. There's a man in a plane watching a man in a plane. I love that. Sir DLW had 3 screens, then VR. Now with ultra wide, it's great, just more physically comfortable. It's funny, like, I mean, VR is great. Some people then say no, they transitioned off VR and they went back to using 3 screens. Now this airport actually has a target for us, lads. See the white dot? The white lines? It's got to be done, friends. This has got to be done. So, let's see what happens. A 13-hour flight? Nice. Rob, we got a few. Like, this isn't a normal group flight. This is, we're doing a bit of a course. And, like, they're not for everyone. Our Monday night series, like, there's always been quite a good bit of diversity around them. Jet fighters, friggin', you know, 1940s stuff, history stuff. You know, at the moment we're doing a STOL series, which I gotta say I'm enjoying because I haven't flown like this in ages. It's so much fun. Alright, let's see, can we stop it on the white line? Big wraparound projector screen I used to have at P3D. Nice. Rob, well, you're very welcome in, buddy. You're very welcome in. We have a great bunch of guys and girls here. Right, Murph. Let's see. Oh, Jesus. Let's see what we can do. Can we stop it on the white? Because especially when you see the line for e-stall, that's a fail. I stopped it before the line. So, like, I need to show you this, right? Because this is friggin' class. Watch this now, right? If you've never looked at it, this is where it gets crazy, right? Like, this will give you an idea of the real world stuff, right? Just have a look. Just watch some of this, lads. This is friggin' cool looking, right? So have a look at this. So when you're watching the national STOL stuff and you can actually see what the lads are doing to get airborne and taken off, like, it's nuts. When this guy applies full power, just wait till you see, like, that tail will lift and he's off the ground. Like, he rolls a couple of feet, then he's off the ground. It is crazy. Look. And he's out of there, man. Like, what? Isn't it crazy? And this is what the competition looks like. See that line in the ground? They take off from that line, they fly the circuit, and they have to land over the line and then stop in the shortest possible distance. So he's waiting on the dude to say, all right, go, chief, you're good to go. Like, this is nuts, lads. This is truly nuts, right? Look at that. Tail up straight away, airborne. Like, and they're even smashing that tail wheel into the ground. And, like, look at some of these beautiful airplanes. Like, just incredible. Like, this is national STOL. This looks like Florida, I think. But, like, see the way now the notch of flaps? And he's just waiting. As soon as he gets the thumbs up, full power, tail lifts, and he's out of there. So in his own time, power coming in, tail coming up. Look at that, look. 12 feet. He was airborne in 12 feet. Captain Gaiman, good to see you. I knew someone who built a STOL plane, but they put a motorcycle engine to get it off the ground at 58 feet, man. No way. Amazon sells a watch for motion sickness that works very well. I believe the name is Meetup or something like that. Oh, nice, Gene. Super Ty knows his airplanes. The man knows his airplanes. So Patriot aircraft, look, flaps now, right? See the way he deploys the flap after his initial roll. Like, the technique, depending on the aircraft, depending on the pilot. Now look at the landings, look. Short of the line, he's not going to get a score. Poor old Divil. Look at this guy, Jesus. So they got to get it over the line. Look at this. He's like, how he hasn't stalled out. Look at that. Boom. Had a little bit of a bounce on the brakes. Stops. Score is taken. They've measured it. He's just shy of like 100 feet. Are they feet? They got to be feet, right? That's a Kit Fox. Look at the flaps. See the way he got rid of the flap. So when we were looking at different techniques of, you know, do you land with full flap or do you like engage the flap? Look at this guy, full flaps, touchdown just before the line. Ugh. That's a score that doesn't count. Yeah, they're feet. Okay. 5 feet is this year's record. 5 feet? What? I mean, this is just crazy flying. That was a serious takeoff roll. They killed the flaps to hit the spot since the tires can take the beating. Yeah. Carbon Cub, look at that one. So he's sitting there, flaps are deployed, gets the green light, full power, tail up, and look, he's straight away, he's on the flap handle. He's now getting airborne, and he tucks away the flaps. Jepson got there in person. That's nice, man. That's so freaking cool, buddy. I'd love to see this live. I'm mesmerized with the skill that these pilots have. It's like, how are they, like, they're defying physics here. That's a German built aircraft. Naturally you can see from the color, but like, I forget the name of it, but incredible stall capability. And that's World War II. Storch, that's the one. The Storch. Landing here, look short. Yeah, ooh, she was short. Poor old devil. Yeah, the Feisler Storch, that's the one. Great machine, man. Ooh, that looked to be right on the line. Nice, look at that. That has some serious punch. Look at that, it's like 90 feet. World record for the shortest stall landing, 9 feet 5 inches, set by Dan Reynolds in 2018. He achieved this during the Valdez stall competition in Alaska with a highly modified aircraft. The record for the shortest stall takeoff in the same competition was set by Frank Knapp in 2017. A takeoff distance of 13 feet 8 inches, lads. Mr. GPHI, how are you, buddy? So that's that video, but I want to show you now what it looks like inside Microsoft Flight Simulator, because this is what the guys did just 2 days ago. And this is what they're working on. So check it out and have a look how this all appears in the flight sim, right? Now, it's important to note, right now, they're doing this using Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, right? And the sceneries they've put together, they've they have tons of add-ons here. So, Mark Hawkins in a Wilga, the ADP. There's his roll. Hang on now. I don't know, is this just like the parade? Yeah, that's the parade. Oh, hang on. Here we go, flying here, look. So check it out. On the power, woof, gone. That's freaking nuts. So watching the takeoff roll, airborne within, what, 220 feet? And they're all doing this inside of the sim. Now, granted, there's always going to be limitations with the sim, right? I mean, it's not a straight up thing, but it's still quite good, man. It's still quite good. I mean, you can see how popular the Wilgas are, but I imagine this is where we have the different categories. Look at that! Look at the power, man. He was right on the edge. Right on the edge. Almost a prop strike, man. That's crazy. In a motion sim with VR? That is nuts. Alright, so here's another one coming off. Ooh. So let's see, can we catch some of the landings now, right? I'll just skip ahead a little bit. Oh, is that a beaver? Jesus, someone went out with a beaver, look. That's incredible. All right, let's see, can we get some landings. Here we go. Here's our approaches coming in. Here we go. Nice beaver. How did I know? How did I know you were going to do that? Oh, look at this, man. Over the line, nicely done. And he stopped that at, what, what's that, 100 feet? 110 feet, maybe? Not bad. Get a Harrier? Hold my beer, right? And like, I don't know, is it 3 rounds they get? I love the livery, look. Man, this is looking really good. Look at the state of that, look. Oh, perfect. He got down just over the line and he stopped that at, holy crap, what's that, 85 feet maybe? Like, isn't it deadly, isn't it? And like, that's what STOL is all about. These are the competitions that the guys run. And you got to check out, like, when the next one's on, we'll definitely share the link so you guys can watch it. They have running commentary during it. You know, they're running the whole event. And I think next year they're planning, they've like 2 or 3 left for this year. I think it's 2. Next year or the next season, there's going to be even more, right? Yeah, Cali, like, this is flights in 2020. Look how good this is. Can you, like, wait till this gets into 2024? Oh, look at that. It's like, it's the 100-footer, right? 100 feet. That's incredible. Dougal, they really do, man. They make it look so easy, but like, as competitions go, the fun you're going to have messing around with this. And that's what I'm saying, like, with the course we're doing, it's to just expose you to this whole world of flying. Like, you know, how many people before tonight knew about this championship, knew about this competition? I mean, that's the objective here. It's bringing awareness into what you guys are able to see, you know? It's so cool. And like, depending on the aircraft, different categories, you know, it's just nuts. There's someone taking a beaver, like, you know. Like, the event goes on for quite a bit. You'll see that there's all leader scores. Look, best takeoff, best landing, best run. They average it out. It's Norcali is doing the commentary on it. Like, isn't it mad? There's a name we recognize, Cat Blue Flame. That's awesome. It's awesome. On air, helping out with some of the sponsorship for the event as well. Like, it'd be well worth giving this a try, lads. You know, I think it's so much fun. So much fun. It's a great spectator sport as well. Beer, wings, big screen. Yeah, you said it. Tried it a couple of times. Didn't end well, Dougal. Brilliant. Plus, it's breathing more fire back into Microsoft Flight Sim, as well as get bored sometimes just flying around. Yeah, absolutely. It's another thing we can do with the Flight Sim. Your airliner stuff, your VAT Sim stuff, military stuff, GA stuff, bush flying stuff, and then the competition stuff. You know, I got your stall right here. Hangar Studios, good to see you, man. And of course, the American Champion Scout from Hangar Studio 713 is a approved eSTOL competitive aircraft. And what a machine for eSTOL, right? What a machine. Like, that aircraft, its capabilities, it's fantastic. But you get an idea of some of the aircraft these guys are using now, but they'll change depending on the categories, right? I mean, look, Beavers in this? Nuts. The first of its kind, yeah, in 2 classes. Awesome. Awesome. It's insanely cool, yeah, it really is, lads. It's just something so different when it comes to, like, flight simming. And there's other things, of course. I mean, yes, there's, you know, you have the Reno Air Races, and coming soon we're going to have the Red Bull Air Races. There's so much when it comes to aviation. You know, I'd love to see more of the eSTOL stuff. I just think it's fun. They're a very, very laid back, friendly community to be talking to the lads there. I mean, you know the guys involved in the stuff already. Like, they're just nice folks, and it's competitive, it's fun, it's regulated, you know, there's no messing. And it's all about having a bit of fun, you know. We could do a little scenery add-on, wink wink. Yeah, well, I think Fox will tell me otherwise, but I don't know, what way does the scenery work? It has to be paid for, I think, doesn't it? Or is there freeware options for people to practice on? Not quite sure. C-160 tactical approach, tactical e-stall, yeah. There's some freeware, there's some free e-stall sceneries on flightsim.to. So yeah, you can buy it, but there's also some freeware ones as well, just to start practicing with. Other than Microsoft Flight Sim or the Xbox community, yeah. That's nuts, man, look. The Shadows have an awesome playground, landing, taking off, reversing down the hill competition. Yeah, we did that years ago. Epic built a place, I think, years ago. Microsoft Marketplace, okay. I turn up in a helicopter and bathe a lot of them. Anyone find the pilot experience Mall M7? Mall's a great machine. Yeah, the Mall's a great machine. But this, you know, the e-stall stuff, it's mirroring what the real world stall, national stall does. It's a competition. And yeah, lads, it's well worth a look. And we're going to be aiming more towards this. Probably next week or the week after we'll focus a little bit more onto it. But certainly, look where I parked. Certainly for what we've done this evening, you know, learning a little bit more just on the theory side of it, and really seeing, you know, firsthand what the impact of, you know, the flaps and slats and all that actually making your aircraft. And being able to hover the aircraft in a very strong headwind with almost no thrust whatsoever, which is brilliant, you know. It's pretty cool. Pardon me, it's pretty cool. It's an awesome way to experience the flight sim. And like, you know, even if e-stall isn't your thing, if the competitions aren't your thing, you're still opened up to this world of bush flying, which just takes you to some breathtaking locations. You're off the beaten track. There's airports. I mean, even this one, I mean, they're all classed as stall, not necessarily stall ports, but they're you know, backcountry airstrips, you know, gravel, dirt, grass strips, all that kind of stuff. And they're just cool to explore, you know. So, right, that's the story, lads. That will do us for this evening. I want to thank you all so very much indeed for tuning in. Shout out, of course, to the e-stall guys. Nor Callie was here. Thank you very much indeed. And, of course, Foxfly. Really appreciate you stopping in, lads. And we'll dive more into the competition very, very soon. Tomorrow, we're back to you tomorrow night for some F1 racing. We got a couple of circuits. Wednesday night with the news, we're going to be checking out Gottfriend's latest aircraft, which is being released very soon. We're also going to be checking out some scenery, and we are checking out a C-130 over in the world of DCS. Then on Thursday, a double header. We're over in X-Plane with Just Flight's newest Archer for X-Plane 12. And then we have our VATSIM flight on Thursday night, where we fly from Toronto into New York's JFK. And then on Friday night, we have a group flight in Jamaica, where we take the Cessna 210 for a scenic tour of the island. So I'm looking forward to that. But lads, this was absolutely great fun, and I'm blown away by your flying skills. Like, it's crazy what you guys are able to just do in 2 weeks. It's frightening, terrifying, but awesome stuff. So we shall catch you all tomorrow. In the meantime, we'll be over on our Discord. If you have any questions or you want to share some national e-stall or stall footage, maybe your own experiences if you've taken part in the competition, or maybe you've just watched on some of the live streams, let us know your thoughts on it, and if there's anything that we'd want to be kind of looking on. Also, for any of you guys who think you'd like to take part in the championship, you know, do we put forward a Firefly team? Or, you know, I'm sure we can think of something, maybe get some liveries designed up as well for the aircraft of your choosing. So I think this could be a lot of fun. So, right, that's it now. Thank you all so very much indeed for tuning in. We're back to you tomorrow at 1900 Zulu for some F1. And for the Flight Simmers, we're back on Wednesday for some Flight Simage. So until then, take care. Into beta, reversers, flaps in. Get out of beta. Get out of the beta. Ah! That's weird, the throttle doesn't move.
Hey, good morning.
Jerry Joey Coogan, many thanks for the follow. Hang on, we need to get out of beta. No, that's backwards, Murph. Uh-oh. Get out of... Oh, we nearly tipped it over, lads. You see it? Jesus. Why won't you get out of beta, you devil? My controls are no longer agreeing with me. Right, what's it doing now? Not as beta. Stupid thing. Stop reversing. Ah, you need to go forwards. For a warbird, it's one of the finest warbirds ever released in Microsoft Flight Simulator, considering you have the excellent work of Flying Iron. This thing, because of the extra features, because of the optimization, because of how well it looks and sounds, even flying this thing gives you an experience you probably haven't got already in the sim when it comes to flying a warbird. It feels heavy. It feels cumbersome. It behaves differently. And there's a lot of depth to it. It's a cracker. It's a masterpiece. Oh, I never did the thing, look. Few men even consider the possibility of life on other planets. Yet, across the Gulf... Jesus! What was that? I was about to say something and you hit me in the head! Christ! Hang on! I found more of these flamingos! Jesus!